Whoa, hello. We're here, we're queer, we're ready to do the show. Cool. How is everybody today? Got 20 people in here, 15 likes. Doing good so far. But yes, it's kind of hard to see. I'm realizing that it's kind of hard to see over here. It's a little bit darker than I intended for it to be, but this is the box. This is the mystery box that we get to open if we get to the stream goal. It's a little chest over there. I'm wondering if maybe I should lift it a little bit. I don't know. But anyway, it's a box. What's in the box? I know. There's a classic reference there. Hey, Kenzie Page, welcome in. Hello, everybody in the YouTube chat. Just so y'all know, over in the YouTube chat, if you weren't aware, if you want to do, you basically have the same deal in the YouTube chat that we have on the website. If you give $5 a month, you get a special color name, you get access to custom emojis, and you can cash in on a free super chat, basically, like once a month. So, hey, consider becoming a member. I'm a condensed ball of anxiety at the moment. Yes. Understandable. I'm trying to chill. I'm doing my best to chill. But yes, hello to the website chat. There's Kitty Tick and Nethercat and Ancom Psycom, which I still think is a great name. Hello, Drea. There's Andy's. Hello, hello, hello. Working on art. Nice. I feel so much urge to be creative. I honestly think that I might need to be like a reduced tech person. Like, I'm kind of thinking, oh, maybe there's 1 or 2 days a week that I should take at least 2 hours where I put down my phone, I get away from my computer, and I just let myself like be bored and creative. Most recently, what happened when I did that was I ended up completely cleaning out a terrarium that is all super dry and desiccated. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I did not anticipate having so many hiccup burps right at the beginning of the show. Probably from scarfing down a protein bar. Probably. Maybe I should take my hair down. I don't know. I'm kind of not hating the messy bun at the moment. This is how I put my hair up when I sleep. Oh, gosh. So yeah, as we enter, we've basically got like tomorrow and then all day Tuesday to be really anxious. I am going to vote tomorrow. I'm voting early because I don't want to try to deal with all the crowd on Tuesday, obviously. COVID awareness and not wanting to have like an unexpected last minute problem. At least if I go in the day before, if there's some kind of issue where it's like, are you really registered to vote or whatever? Then I have at least an entire day to figure that out. So I'm going to vote tomorrow, and I'm going to vote obviously for Kamala and every other Democrat on the ticket. It's so interesting in Kansas. I was just complaining about this on Twitter earlier. It's so weird how Kansas has had 4 Democratic governors in my lifetime. I'm 30. And we came out and voted in support of abortion. About 900,000 people voted on the abortion referendum 2 years ago in August. So it was not a presidential election year, and it was a primary. So it was not the normal time that people go out to vote, okay? And we managed to get all of this attention on it. 900,000 people voted. There are 2.2 million voting age adults in Kansas, and 547,000, if I recall, voted to preserve the right to abortion. So it's like, it seems very strange to me that Kansas just like always goes red. Like there's never any, it's literally never even a question as to whether Kansas is going to go red. So I know one of our former mods in here responded to me and was saying it might be because people on the local level they're more voting on for the individual person, but on the national level, people tend to think of it more as like, these are my values, this is my team. So maybe that could be part of it. Pretty sure the anxious is going to extend past Tuesday. Oh, true. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Especially with all this nonsense about like, ooh, are they going to count votes that arrive in the mail afterward. Like the Supreme Court is basically shredding a lot of our things that we have considered dependable. Like if you vote by mail, as long as it's postmarked before, or it's like it's like postmarked before election day, right? Then your vote will be counted even if it comes in after. But now they're like, nope, we've decided not to. Count on at least 48 hours of anxiety for Georgia, considering how many mistakes are going to be made because they require hand counting. Ooh, yeah, that's going to be fun. Yeah, Ancom SciComm is a great name. Anarcho-communist science communication. But, like, it's good. It's got good echolalia. Republicans prefer to think that they're on the libertarian side of things. They mostly just want the government out of people's lives. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, Drea. Like, unless it's someone else's life. Are Republicans so out of touch with what the Republican Party is actually like that they genuinely still think that the Republican Party is the party of small government? There are libertarian candidates on the ballot. Vote for a libertarian candidate. Anyway, yes, there are new secret box contents. My plan is to do this every show now, like until it stops feeling fresh, basically. And I have a lot of cool stuff in my house, so you never know. Could be all kinds of stuff in there. There could even be a second mystery box. You never know. Howdy, howdy, Fennec. Y'all really think that they're that out of touch? Man, I don't know. But anyway, I hope that you all had a good Halloween. We kind of just chilled at home. I made, we made some Halloween-themed cupcakes. I will be boxing up my house soon. I know. It's November, and I'm pretty sure our lease is up, like, at the end of January. So I have 3 months. Obsis, thank you for the $20 dono. Yeah, I'm gonna need to see what's in that box, thanks. We'll get there. Like, oh, it's got a little hook enclosure. Anyway. Thank you, I appreciate that very much. And I might throw in a flex at the when we hit the goal too, just for old time's sake. But yeah, I bought a cupcake kit from the store, and it had basically everything we needed. We decorated them spookily, and there's still, I think, one cupcake left. I definitely have very little self-control with when there's cupcakes and stuff in the house. I'm like, I have been craving sugar lately. The weather here was gross, so we spent Halloween just vibing. Yeah. I saw people in Oregon talking about how, like, of course it rained super hard. Drove the kids street to street because I'm nice and didn't want them to have to walk that far in the rain. Yeah. I've missed the last few streams because of life. I'm so sorry. I also missed some streams recently. There was, like, supposed to be this huge storm on Wednesday, and it was super rainy. I don't think there were as many tornadoes as people anticipated there possibly being. Was it seriously the first rainy Halloween in 5 years? Dang. How have you found the name change? I've been enjoying it. It feels, well, okay, so I guess I haven't really been thinking about the name change that much. When I'm streaming, it still says Luxander on the title card and everything, so I don't think I've really noticed a huge difference in that regard. It's kind of a holistic thing because it's like changing the name of the channel plus the shift in content And I'm working on like, okay, what's the next project? I posted a scripted video like 2 weeks ago now, so I'm starting to really be like, okay, I think I need to like bust some stuff out, start producing things. I was working on my The Last of Us script, but I'm going to be heartbroken if that doesn't do well, so I'm going to hold off and save it until people are more accustomed to me doing this kind of content. So now I'm working on Dragon Review, which seems to be, I let the patrons vote on it. Musing Moss is your stage name, Luxander is your real name. It's almost the opposite of that. I'm having a little bit of a name crisis. But anyway, yeah, so Dragon Review, the patrons voted on it, and it seems like Dragon Review is what people want. So for me to do like, okay, this is what my opinion is about this dragon. Is it cool? Is it not? Smashability. You all want to know if I would boink the dragon for some reason, so I'm going to include that as a segment. And I decided that I was going to go ahead and post like the first video in that series is probably going to be my next video. And it's going to be kind of going over the criteria. So we're going to look at an example of a dragon that like doesn't have a whole lot to it. So I'm not going to go into super depth, but I want to talk about like, yo, here's the sort of criteria. Here's the things I'm looking at when I'm criticizing the realism of these dragons. Here's the biology that I'm kind of complaining about. Yeah, so I think that's going to be the first video. And so I'm not even sure if Musing Moss matches the idea of doing dragon review. I guess you just have to take it for granted that Moss is the dragon. But yeah, so I'm feeling good. I'm working on scripts. I'm reading. I get to watch a bunch of movies that I haven't seen before. So it's pretty exciting moving forward. And I feel like I freed up so much brain space that, you know, on the day-to-day basis, I don't feel this like pressure when I wake up. I'm like, oh my God, I have to go edit and I hate it. And I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's more balanced. I have a lot of shit outside of YouTube that I have to do in my life. Like I'm about to move. I have regular like cleaning stuff to do. I'm still disabled, so I still have like health issues that I have to deal with on a pretty regular basis. And I'm like trying to keep up. I was feeling so shitty earlier, like today, and my heart was hurting and I was like, what is happening? And then I realized that my air conditioner was just off. And I was like, it's almost 80 degrees in here. No wonder I feel really bad. So, yep. I feel like it's a lot more balanced already, and I'm more excited and I'm happy about the concept of the projects that I've got working on. I have like 5 project ideas written down right here that on my notepad that are not Dragon Review. Dragon Review, I have 25 items on that list. That's like a movie or a TV show, or like for the Hobbit movies with Smaug, I just grouped all 3 of those together. But I have 25 different objects for Dragon Review movies. So that's going to be like a running series. And oh, by the way, it's better now. My AC is on. And then from there, it's just going to be like, okay, what other things do I want to talk about? What other stuff do I want to do in depth? At least outlined, if not scripted. I might not script everything down to the word, but I do think at least like having a pretty detailed outline is going to be how things go moving forward. So yeah. And it feels better that like that is something that I can also work on as I'm moving. Like even when things are really tumultuous, I can still like read the book that I'm reading to help inform the script, or I could pull up the laptop and like work on the script without having to be concerned that like, oh my God, I need to upload something every single day. Just a completely different set of issues, which is cool. Have a mental image of a stone dragon sleeping for so long moss has grown on it. Yeah. I was thinking about getting in touch with EB the Purple and having her update the graphics. So like there's, hold on, I don't have anything up on my screen. Hold on. Okay, nothing crazy is on here. Uh, so like, I kind of want there to be moss, maybe like instead of these green accents that she has incorporated, maybe like putting the green on the dragon. And similar for this, like I was thinking about maybe asking her to like put moss on this stuff around, like, and down there and everything. Because there is already green highlighting, you can see. So yeah, anyway. Basically, that's the concept. What are you reading right now? I was reading The Need for Roots by Simone Weil, and then I realized that she was making a lot more criticisms of like industrialism and almost like Marxist kind of things. And she was talking about labor a lot. And I was like, this is not really the book that I'm trying to read. So I ended up taking that one back to the library. And now I'm not like comprehensively reading it. I'm reading relevant segments of Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl because that's relevant to my The Last of Us script. But I'm tabling that script for now. So now it's like, well, I'm going to watch this movie or I'm going to research the flight patterns of the wandering albatross because it's the largest flighted bird currently existing. So, yeah, I'm having fun kind of like learning new things and doing research, and yeah, it's going to be a good time. But streams, so like I'm definitely going to do postmortems for each scripted video most likely, or like that's we're going to at least talk about it somewhat. Like, oh, this last video when it came out, here's how it went. Let's discuss more in depth. Here's what some of the response in the comments was. Let's kind of talk about it. But otherwise, on stream, we're still going to basically like, we'll talk about the politics stuff. I'm still going to accept user submissions in the Discord server. So today, we have like several user submissions that are things that normally on stream, if I'm prioritizing, like, okay, I need to record segments for the channel on stream. A lot of the time I was ignoring certain things that people would post if I was like, oh, I don't think that would make a good segment on the show. But now that I'm not doing that, I will cover more things on the stream here. Like I'm more willing to do more different topics because I'm not strapped down to like, let's talk about trans politics so that I can post it on the channel and go politics, like content every day. God. Gay Fish. Hello. When can we start advertising the podcast? Research the lesser sandhill crane as well. With their long necks, it would be reminiscent of how dragons would fly. Also, they migrate from Siberia to Mexico annually, mostly over water, which is wild. Yeah, that's cool for sure. I'll take a note of that here actually. Sandhill crane. Okay, cool. Yes. Wandering albatrosses are interesting because they have like the widest wingspan of any creature, and they're interesting to me especially because they lock in their wings so that they can continuously kind of glide. And obviously, if you've been around for any of my complaining about dragons before, I get really annoyed when dragons are like swooping down over water and they're just like coasting without flapping their wings. I find that extremely unrealistic. So I was like, okay, I think that's unrealistic as far as the physics goes, but I'm going to learn about like how can animals fly without flapping their wings, especially very large animals over bodies of water particularly. So that was really interesting and very illuminating, and there's going to be obviously a segment about that in the video coming up soon. Lux, since you're wanting to pivot away from politics and such, do you have preferences for what you're looking for in Discord stream recs? I guess not in particular. I mean, I haven't really figured out what the vibe is going to be on the streams now that I'm not doing only trans politics. I'll still talk about trans politics. So, like, obviously, if there's news about something happening with trans people, you know, some stuff happening with Trump and Kamala and everything, like obviously we're going to still talk about those things occasionally. Good news, always good to have on. I don't know. I'm like interested in a range of topics, so I'm open to whatever, and I will select out what I don't want to talk about. I guess I haven't figured it out exactly. As a DM, I'm looking forward to your analysis of dragons so I can describe them better. Yeah, for sure. I I'm firmly of the belief that in a fantasy work, things need to be grounded in realism in a way that allows you to suspend your disbelief. Like the, I mean, I say it's my opinion. It's kind of just an established fundamental aspect of fantasy, or I mean, particularly fantasy, science fiction, not so much, because science fiction is kind of profoundly rooted in realism. But when we're talking about like fantasy, which, you know, impossible things happen in fantasy. So you need a mixture of like, okay, that's realistic so that you can buy into the more fantastical elements. So it's like, okay, we have these giant flying lizards. What makes that more or less realistic? Like, does it seem realistic for it to be covered in feathers? Does it seem more realistic if they have bat wings? Like, does it seem realistic within the confines of the universe for them to have telepathic abilities? So, you know, you have to be aware of those things. And there are things that bother me about realism in film that don't seem to bother other people. Like I very rarely hear people talk about the fact that like, okay, well, this is a giant animal, and when it lands on the ground, it should shake the ground, you know, or like when it beats its wings, there should be such a concussive force that it's like flattening tents as it lands in this, like a war camp or whatever. So, you know, there's little things that kind of break my suspension of disbelief that maybe don't bother other people. But yeah, I really like it when any fantasy creature feels deeply immersed in the world. And that means like not only is there a good explanation for that animal to exist, or I mean, I guess that was something that we take for granted a lot of the time. It's like, oh, dragons just are a fixture in fantasy. But just like, I mean, in the sense that like that animal is really interacting with the world. The world is actually affected and changed by the presence of that animal. So yeah, I am very much looking forward to talking about that. I also do like the idea of streams being a thing where we can talk more about just kind of random things like this. Like this is the stuff that interests me. I don't know that I'm ever going to be the kind of person who's like the title of the stream is something to do with fantasy, and I'm like David Lightbringer. I'm going to have an entire 3-hour stream about this one fantasy character, and like we're going to talk about Jaime Lannister today and all my thoughts about Jaime Lannister. Like I don't know that that is ever going to happen, but I do like the flexibility to kind of go down those paths. But yeah. Are you talking about cranes right now, Kitty Tick, that they'll fly out and then straight back for like hundreds and hundreds of miles? The wandering albatross, which I believe those animals are based out of New Zealand, they can fly continuously for like 13 months. Because, like, again, they lock in their wings and basically tendons keep them in place. So they don't really need to use their muscles that much. Um, and they just swoop down and like catch stuff and they eat it, and they basically only come back to land when it's breeding season. Oh, the albatross. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's crazy. It's so weird. Booktuber arc. I'm not sure. I haven't decided if books are going to be part of it. I like movie analysis and like cinema more than books. And obviously it takes less time to watch a movie than it does to read a book typically. But we could potentially get into that. Yeah, the albatrosses, they're so big. Like that is a dinosaur. That is a capital D dinosaur. So anyway, yep. I'm looking forward to having those conversations. It's gonna be lots of fun. There's so much crazy shit happening this week. It's like I hope on Wednesday, because obviously I stream Sunday and Wednesday. I'm planning on streaming Wednesday. I hope that on Wednesday we can just have a celebratory stream where we're like, yo, Kamala won and it's decisive and there's no question about it. I just am so concerned. I don't think that's going to happen. I really enjoyed the Temeraire books because they did a good job of asking and answering what the Neapolitanic Wars would look like if dragons existed. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, yeah, like if dragons existed in our universe, which is I think kind of a different question to like does this dragon work in this fantasy universe? But yeah, like world history would be different if one side has dragons and the other side doesn't. I mean, this is kind of what A Song of Ice and Fire answers the question of, is like, what if there were dragons during the War of the Roses, or what if there were dragons during several other things? Daylight saving time ending is a conspiracy to drag out the election season even longer. I am not entirely convinced that. So more so than daylight saving time, because I just slept an extra hour. More than daylight saving time, I'm like, why is leap year on election years? Like, why did we do that? It's as if the election cycle isn't long enough. Now we have fucking an entire extra 24 hours to stress about this. Like, Jesus. Anyway, albatrosses can be seen as good or bad luck because they will sometimes lead you back to land and sometimes lead you in circles for months. Yeah, I can see that being a mixed message, mixed symbols. Thank you, Riffs No Leads, for just stopping by for the like. Burned my hand cooking this morning. Rough. Cooking is a dangerous job. Be careful out there, y'all. Oh, leap years were determined before U.S. election years. Okay. Don't worry, the election of 2100 will be 1 day shorter. Oh, do we actually do that? Like every so often? Wait. Like 1 day shorter than other election years? Is that all? Like once in a while we don't do a leap day? I blame the rescuers for why I love albatross. I blame the rescuers down under for why I love monitor lizards so much. With their little scrabbly feet. Anyway. Oh, okay. Every 100 years we don't have a leap year except every 4th century. Cool. That's exciting. I am probably not going to live that long. Like, I'm 30 now. If I live that long, I will be well over 100 years old, so. Excuse me. Anyway, yeah, thank you all for popping in for the likes. Don't forget, if you're enjoying hanging out, you're experiencing some amount of catharsis, hit the like button. Oh, and if you haven't already, here's something that we rarely talk about. If you have pressed the bell icon on someone's channel, like, okay, you've subscribed, cool. If you hit the notification bell, which about 12% of my viewers have done that, you also have to have YouTube notifications enabled, and only about 5% of my viewers have clicked the bell and have notifications on. So whether it's through Google Chrome or whether it's on your phone, like if you don't have notifs enabled, you will just not get the notifications that you signed up for. So double check your settings, everybody. If you want the notifs, you have to actually sign up for them duly. When they figure out how to turn you into a dragon, you'll live that long. Okay, I'll accept that. If I have the power to burn things down and stomp buildings, then I will be okay with living that long. Like, dragon shapeshift form gets shit done. It's the one thing. I want you to feel like that's a guarantee. Gets shit done. Well, let's take a quick look at what we have to talk about today that's been put in the stream suggestions. There was also a little bit that wasn't in the stream suggestions that we might talk about just otherwise posted in the Discord server. Okay, we have a post from Aaron in the morning. So we have trans news. We have an article about the Internet Archive. Some renters' rights conversation that we can have. Twitch
now requires
has some
streams
new...
that involve
Shut
LGBT.
up. Twitch has some new content guidelines or something that I've seen people talking about. So there's a little video that is going to explain it to us. And then I also wanted to talk about the Green Party a little and how they are seemingly taking some hardline right-wing positions, interestingly enough. So that's kind of the general... Those are the things that have been recommended to talk about today. If we stop aging before I am 69, I will live longer. I ain't living forever old. Yeah, I mean, of course, I don't want to be 100 forever. That sounds terrible. Yes, of course, Gayfesh, of course. Long live the queen. Okay. Whew. Does anybody have some plans for what you're going to do this week? Like, have you voted already? Are you going to vote this week? Are you going to watch the news religiously on Tuesday? Or I'm considering just piecing out and not paying any attention until I wake up on Wednesday, and hopefully there's a clear declaration about who won the race. I think that's kind of my plan. I know one of the Discord servers that I'm in, they're planning on having a Discord call, the intention of which is to be like cozy and not pay attention to the news. Already voted. Nice. I was going to vote last week and then it just didn't happen. Already voted. Probably will find a good stream to watch results after polls close on the West Coast. Putting ballot in box on Monday. Ooh. Maybe I would have voted from mail if it was automatically sent to me. I just didn't request a ballot. Like in Kansas, you have to request a mail-in ballot. Unless things are really overly one-sided, I can't imagine we'll know by Wednesday. So I don't think it's likely, but that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that I wake up on Wednesday and it's like Kamala Harris won. Boom, no question. I don't think it's going to be that way, but that's what I want. Thorn Among Roses, my plan is to vote in Florida and then move to Maryland later in the month. It does kind of feel nice. Yeah, I'm voting in Kansas for the last time. Like, I'm gonna try my goddamn best to make Kansas go purple. Oh, really? What's crazy is something like 40% of people have already voted. I haven't been looking at any polls either. Oh, in Oregon. Okay. Well, I think part of that is because Oregon and Washington both have automatic mail-in ballots. Like, everybody gets a mail-in ballot. So it makes sense that they would have done that. Like, people would have already voted. So, hopefully, I mean, it's just so weird to me that Kansas is never even at risk of going purple. Despite all the things that I said earlier. It's like, it's crazy. Yo, there's 50 viewers. Can we get to 50 likes? Really, the primo goal is to get to 69 likes, but I will accept getting to 50. And don't forget, if you donate, we will open the box if we get to the donation goal. There's a secret box over here. Ooh. It's got a little latch. Oh, no. Put it back. Dropping off my ballot. Then I have work until Wednesday, so I'm going to avoid any political content till I'm ready to engage with it. Do you have a rave I'm going to on the 15th with my sister? Wear a mask. I'm not fucking kidding. Don't go to a party without wearing a mask. Okay, thanks. Yes. New box. I hadn't turned in my ballot yet when the guy was firebombing drop boxes in the Vancouver/Portland area. So I called my local election office and was like, please tell me there is a place inside that I can deliver my ballot. What ended up happening there? Were you able to like physically put your ballot in an indoor location? I would assume that you could, if it's a mail-in ballot, I would just take it into my post office and be like, yo, I need to mail this in a place where it's not going to be lit on fire. Crazy. I have seen too that some people on my Facebook are getting notifications when their vote has been processed, which is interesting. I didn't know that you could do that. So like when your vote gets counted, you get like there's an app or maybe it's a text or something. I'm always wearing one. Good. Very good. Hope you have fun at your rave. I've just decided to be really aggressive about COVID precautions. I went inside the office of my county election headquarters and was like, here, straight to you. I mean, no middleman whatsoever. That's like the ideal situation. I think that's part of why I prefer voting in person, but voting early. Because then I don't have to worry, like, did the USPS lose it? Like, did it make it there? I get to avoid the crowds, but still feel like I'm, directly putting in the ballot box. Ooh. I didn't see that one pop up on the screen, but I saw it pop up in the chat. Tinty, thank you for the $20 donation. Says, thanks for all your efforts. You're doing good. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. That's very kind, very generous, very demure, very mindful. So I appreciate it. Come back, chat. Chat, come back. I'm boosted with the new one. Yo, so I got boosted about 6 weeks before I caught COVID recently, and I was still sick. So, getting the booster prevents you from having a severe illness initially, or at least it's supposed to reduce the likelihood of you having a severe illness initially. And it seems as though it can reduce the instance of long COVID complications, but it is not a magical ward that prevents you from catching COVID and potentially mutating or passing it on to someone else. So even if you're boosted, still wear a mask, but good that you're boosted. I didn't get the newest booster because I didn't have $200. I got last year's juice, like before they got rid of all of them. So I am probably going to try to get the updated version of Novavax here in a couple months. Probably. It also shortens duration and symptom severity. Yeah, symptom severity is what I was just saying. Like, it prevents you from getting seriously ill. It's supposed to keep you out of the hospital. But it's also good, like, that it shortens duration. And there's other stuff too, guys. Like, I'm pretty sure that I didn't get as sick as I could have gotten sick because, like, my partner and I did not sleep next to each other, so we weren't breathing in each other's viral load. I had fans running with Rosenthal filters. I was, like, spraying Lysol in the air. Yeah, like, there's all kinds of stuff that you can do that lowers your viral load, which also reduces the severity of your illness. In California, we got something called ballot tracks. It lets you know what stage your ballot is at. Oh, I think that's what I was seeing, because I have some friends who live in California. I think all mail-in for ballots is a great option, but I do miss the feeling of going into a polling place on election day. Glad I got that experience early on before we made the change. Sure. I appreciate the convenience of the mail-in ballot, but yeah, there's a sense of security for me in going physically to a place and being like, boom, like my ballot got scanned right there. There's no question whether it was submitted. Like, I watched it go through the machine and be counted. Party time. Okay. So these are the articles that we're going to go over today, just for reference, okay? Odessa, Texas put a $10,000 bounty on trans people using the bathroom. Scrubbing the internet. Why online content disappears. These are both related to the Internet Archive. Oh my God. You know what? I don't want to disable my ad blocker. I don't like disabling my ad blocker. Stop making me do this. Yeah, this is about renters' rights and landlord fees, pricing people out of housing. Comment in the YouTube chat if I'm still live, because sometimes my power flickers and sometimes the internet is not very reliable, and I'm not really sure what the problem is recently. But sometimes I'll just wake up and there's no internet, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I go look up outages, and it's like, oh yeah, we're doing like scheduled maintenance in your area. And I'm like, why the fuck didn't I get an email about this? I work at home and would like to have my internet, please. Okay, so it did freeze. All right, but I'm back. Cool. Frustration. And look at that. We made it to 53 likes. Thank you all so much. Okay. Had to refresh the page. Well, thanks for sticking through it with me. Sorry about that brief hiccup. I have no idea what the internet situation is going to be like after I move. That's like something that bothers me a lot. I remember, and God bless the cursed name I'm about to mention, Xander Hall. I just remember very strongly that he moved into a new place, like when he moved up to Seattle, and his internet was shit and he basically couldn't work and he had to like find a new place to live. So that stresses me out, like the idea that I might move and the internet will just not fucking work. So that's something, it's like up on top of all the other things that I would like about a place that I'm living. Like I really would like it to have air conditioning. I really would like it to have central air conditioning, as a matter of fact, because it gets hot up there in the summer sometimes. And like, yeah, other things that I want in a place, and I'm like, oh, by the way, ticky ticky tap on my keyboard, talking to somebody I've never met before who owns a building, like, hey, do you know which internet service provider is at this address? Like, so that I can then look them up and be like, what's your highest speed internet and how reliable is it? Good luck finding anywhere in the PNW with central AC. So actually there's a lot of new housing going up in Oregon, and new construction has central AC. Yeah, I'm aware that there's rarely central AC. Yeah. I know a lot of the times it's like there's one in the unit or whatever. But yeah. It has to have some form of AC. I know some places don't even have window units, and I'm like, yikes, I have health problems. If it's 78 degrees, I'm sitting down not exerting myself at all, I'm like, I'm having a problem here. Oh gosh. Our next goal is 69 likes. $200 to open the box. I don't know if I should lower the amount, but that's what it is right now. If I'm only streaming once a week, it seems reasonable. But anyway, do we want to get into talking about Odessa, Texas real quick? Little Odessa, Texas. I really like that I can just talk about this in a more conversational way, and I don't really have to worry about like, well, here we are again today talking about bad laws attacking trans people. Let's go. Like, no, this is much nicer. Because we knew that this was going to happen. Like, we talked about this before. Is it the same box? This box is the same one from last time. It's a little chest. Here, let me bring it over here. Let me change this. I'll bring it back over here. See? It's a nice little chest. Isn't Odessa Save the Cheerleader, Save the World? Yeah, actually, I think it is. Wow, first season of Heroes, very good. Anyway, I remember there being some kind of conversation previously about putting bounties on trans people using the bathroom. Oh, no, no, no. It was different. In Texas, it was, they were proposing a bounty, like a monetary reward for reporting parents who were seeking gender affirming care for their children. That's what it was. This bathroom thing is different. So now the city of Odessa, Texas has put $10,000 bounties on trans people using the bathroom. The city ordinance passed 5-2 in a new phase in anti-transgender legislation and could be an early look at trans bills coming in 2025. Yeah, obviously Texas has been pretty aggressively anti-trans. 2022 was when they started targeting trans children. The state recently began rejecting driver's license name and gender changes. I thought that they were not rejecting name changes, but that they were rejecting gender changes. I have not seen... What is this? I have not seen anything about denying name changes or reverting name changes. That is maybe just a mistake. Revoke previous name and gender marker changes. What are you talking about? These are about sex designation. Hold on. This document does not mention names. I think this is only sex designations. It would be crazy for them to revert your name. Anybody can get their name changed by court order. That's not gender related. Okay, I'm just gonna assume that that's a mistake. It's a mistake that she's repeated though, which I find. If we're gonna be talking about anti-trans news, let's talk about what's actually happening. You know, reverting people's names. That's I don't think that that's happening. Heroes was great until it wasn't. That first season, bam, 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 so strong. Absolutely jumped the shark. Like, ridiculous. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's a pretty big error to say that, like, them challenging the legality of sex designations means that they're going to start reverting people's names. I know! I realized that, Gayfesh, that Heroes was truncated by a writer's strike. Oh, I don't know why these shows don't just take a year off. Like, I know that this is a relatively small thing, but with House of the Dragon, they obviously had this writer's strike, and they continued to film through it, and every word has to be exactly how it is in the script. You can change other things, like you can add in someone just kind of going, ah, or like change the way that they deliver the line to change the mood of the scene, but every word has to be verbatim. And it was a mistake. One of the characters, basically his position on the council, like he has had this one position on the council for a while, and then in the second season he said, oh, I have this other position on the council, and everyone was like, what the fuck? No, you don't. So that was like a mistake of the writers that got left in because you couldn't change it. It was Thailand, by the way, if you're interested. Did Heroes survive long enough to become the villain? It did. Have you seen season 4 of Heroes? It is not good. The show 24 took a year off because of the writer's strike because they didn't want to truncate the season because it's called 24. So if you do a season that's not 24 episodes, it doesn't work. I remember really enjoying 24, but I was also like 11 and I still lived with my mom, and she was the reason why I was watching it. We used to joke a lot about the DVDs would play. It did this little, so it was supposed to be like, this is 1 hour of actual time. So there's like the first 5 minutes of the show, whatever, and then it would have a commercial break. And at the commercial break, it would count down. Or, I mean, really, it's counting up. It's like beeping along with like a timer counting up for a full 1 hour show. And then when it came back, it would start ticking again. I'm assuming it was not perfectly accurate, like the exact commercial runtime or whatever. Um, but it's really funny. I mean, it was really funny at the time, just being like, these goddamn commercial breaks counting down, and then it just immediately starts counting back up because we were watching them on DVD. Yes, one season of 24 is 24-hour-long episodes, or approximately 45-minute long episodes, accounting for the commercial breaks. It was fun. It definitely, in retrospect, has a lot of that propaganda thing, and not even just propaganda. It's like I think it helped create. I mean, it helped create, and it was a result of post 9/11 anxiety about terrorism, right? Like, I actually do think that could be really interesting to go back and look at, but also I don't think I'm willing to watch that much of a TV show in order to make one video about it. But it is really interesting, like 24, and like it's focused on the main character, Jack Bauer, who like works for a counterterrorism unit. And it like had a black president. It was always fun before Obama. And yeah, it kind of plays into that fantasy of like a vigilante kind of like he's official, but he also kind of acts outside the law. Like there's one instance where he asks the president if he has permission to do something that's kind of illegal, and the president just doesn't say anything. And Jack Bauer's like, okay, I understand, sir. I'm gonna go fucking do it. Yeah, so it's quite similar to like police procedurals or like movies about a policeman going a little bit outside the law in order to get things done, basically. It was so tense we needed the bathroom breaks. We would run out of the room to grab popcorn and use the restroom and run back in before the clock started ticking again. The first season of 24 was in production when 9/11 happened. The second season was like, yeah, we're doing Islamic terror this season, and basically every other season after that. Yeah, because in the first season, it's just like the dude's wife gets kidnapped or something. Like it's very... It's a little bit less focused on Muslim terrorism, basically, if there could possibly be such a thing. Drink water, everybody. Hail, hydrate. Let's try to get to 69 likes. If you're in the YouTube chat and you feel inclined at any point to give me a super chat, please consider becoming a member instead. That way you get fun color name. Click the join button on the screen to become a member. Anyway, see, I can't get derailed on 24 during a segment, but I'm not doing a segment. Anyway, Odessa, Texas. Yeah, I really think that this is a pretty significant, it's a pretty significant oversight for her to say that they're revoking previous name changes. That seems to me like, Aaron, you need to log off for a few days and regenerate your brain a little bit, because that's like a pretty huge oversight. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, she reviews... Oh, wait, hold on. This is the wrong thing. This is the Odessa thing. Here we go. So Odessa, which is a city of... Oh my god, excuse me. 116,000 people, has passed a trans bathroom ban and authorized a $10,000 bounty on any trans person using a restroom that aligns with their gender identity. The bounty, echoing the anti-abortion bounty seen in Texas, would be imposed on any trans person who, quote, enters or uses a restroom in a public building designated for exclusive use by persons that do not correspond to his or her biological sex. The measure specifies that biological sex is determined by the individual's original birth certificate, meaning that trans individuals with updated birth certificates are still subject to the law. I mean, yeah, we've talked about this a million times obviously we would need like this puts more scrutiny on gender nonconforming cis people because there are more of them. It just creates more hassle for everybody. Who is watching? Like, who is policing this? I mean, when we ask things like that, like who is watching this, who is policing this is basically a way of passing off the responsibility. I see it as, where we basically have not enough police. Like, we can't put a police officer at every public restroom. So we're gonna start having individuals like on the lookout, citizen cops. This reminds me so much, and I was just thinking about this earlier this week. The when people go bother folks for using handicap spots when they have a placard or it's on the license on the back. Like, why do people think they get to be the fucking parking lot police? This bothers me a lot, actually, especially because, I mean, like, I don't have a disability placard. I don't need one. I would rather, park a little bit further away anyway. Like, that's just my preference because I want to get more movement. But I have an invisible disability, and it could very well progress, or I could get an additional diagnosis of something else, and like it could compound to a point where I need a spot. And it's not just because it affects me personally. I guess I should make sure to say that, because I think that a lot of people approach this from a very self-centered point of view. But anyone with an invisible disability, like literally, unless you have a wheelchair, I think even folks who use a cane, people will accost them and be like, oh, do you really need that? And of course it happens to people in wheelchairs as well, but it just happens so much less often. Alexandria, where was that? Put out the call that the stream was starting and got called out for saying Lux's stream starts soon. Where was that? Oh, I also have forgotten that I have the... I want to start posting the link on Twitter and Blue Sky, but I just kind of forget a lot of the time. Let me see. Let me do this real quick. There. And then here's on Blue Sky. I'll post another one on Blue Sky. There. Okay. Come back, chat. Where are you? Yeah, of course, a lot of cis women are about to receive a rude awakening about how feminine they look. We're gonna increase the gender dysphoria of a lot of cisgender women by transvestigating their noses and stuff. I used to love Cartnarks until I realized he is a populist jerk. I'm not familiar with him. I do kind of like... So I guess this is an interesting thing because I hate it when people police disabled folks for parking in the parking spot. But I do kind of like those videos where someone, one individual leaves their cart from the grocery store just kind of in the parking lot, and then someone like keeps moving it so that it's in front, or like it's like blocking the person's car. Like, I feel like there is a moral value to putting your cart away. Like if you're parked in a handicap spot, you should be close enough to the building that you can walk the cart back inside. Or if you are disabled but you don't have a placard, just park really close to one of those cart things and put it back in the cart thing. I do think that there should be some amount of just desserts for that. But I wouldn't do it myself for sure. There are tools which can automatically post those things when you go live. I mean, Streamlabs has an integration. I used to have it set up and I just don't now. Hey, Guitar Rocker, what's up? How's it going? Haven't seen you around in a bit. Hope you're doing well. We're like talking about stressful news, but then we keep fading out and like meandering to other topics. So, uh, with the election coming up this week, we're trying to chill a little bit. And I'm trying to find a way to sit comfortably, and it doesn't stay for very long. Intersex people are also threatened by this, given that original birth certificates can be later amended due to those conditions. I'm assuming that there would be a carve out for intersex people. Like, for example, in the state of Kansas, I'm assuming that this is the law now, because this was the law before we were allowed to change our birth certificates, and now we're not allowed to change our birth certificates anymore, except in cases where it was recorded incorrectly at birth, in which case you can get a notarized documentation that says I'm changing it because the doctor made a mistake. And I'm assuming that that would be the kind of thing that you could get as an intersex person if it turns out that like they recorded it one way but then you developed a different way or something. Yeah, hard same, Guitar Rocker. I am also hoping that Kamala wins. We will see. But yeah, this whole biological sex bounty on bathrooms thing, just frankly, I think it serves to increase a lot of division between people that I think we really do not need right now. Like, we for sure do not need increased speculation, increased suspicion that is incentivized by an amount of money that probably could change a lot of people's lives. $10,000 could contribute to a house payment, or like a down payment for a house. I mean, it could help you pay off your taxes. It could help you pay off your credit cards. It could help you afford several months of food for your family of 5. Like putting that much of a financial incentive behind it just seems it's doing too much. Let's say it's doing too much. Can we get to 69 likes today, y'all? We're going to meander in and out of topics that are all vaguely going to come back to politics, as it usually goes. If someone is trans, their gender was indeed recorded incorrectly at birth. So I considered going that route, Jojo Tater, but it's really more like for administrative mistakes rather than like, oh, well, it turns out, like the argument that trans people's sex was recorded incorrectly at birth, I think would be a much harder bargain to drive. The purpose of that exception is because if there was like basically like it was just recorded by mistake, or like if there's some medical problem, I assume. Like, I'm not saying that it won't affect intersex people. I'm sure that there is still a lot of anxiety about using the restroom if you're visibly gender ambiguous, whatever the cause of that is. But I just, like, in all these laws that are preventing surgery and hormones from happening to kids, they all carve out exceptions for intersex people. So I personally don't think that they're trying to target intersex people. But again, you're creating this situation where any person, any Tom, Dick, or Harry could cast aspersions on you and, engender fear and suspicion and get the police involved. My driver's license is up for renewal next year. Going to make sure to change my gender marker to X. That is something that I'm actually excited about when I'm going to move, is I'm going to be able to have accurate documentation. And I have to get a new driver's license like very soon after I move. So in a few short months, I will actually have one document that has an accurate gender marker. Delicious. Oh, let's see if there's anything else interesting in this article. I feel like playing by the rules against an opponent who writes the rules and then breaks them anyways is never going to be viable. Oh, no, for sure. Yeah. What's that quote that gets brought up in chat pretty often? Conservatism is when the law, with like certain people, the law protects but does not bind, and other people, the law binds but does not protect. Anyway, let's see if there's anything else interesting in here. 42 viewers. 42 is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. So, the ordinance's enforcement mechanisms are among the most extreme. Notably, it creates a private right to sue trans individuals found in designated bathrooms, which is an unusual provision for local ordinances. City ordinances rarely authorize entirely new types of lawsuits. But in this case, such lawsuits could be used to scrutinize a trans person's gender identity and restroom use. If the challenger succeeds, the trans individual would be required to pay the cis complainant no less than $10,000, with no cap on the potential bounty. Okay, so this is more fucked up than I realized. It's not like the state is giving you a bounty. This is basically saying, if you encounter a trans person in the bathroom, you can sue that person, and then that person would be required to pay you $10,000 up to infinity dollars. Like a minimum of 10,000 up to infinity. That's wild. Concerns emerged about how the ban would be enforced. Odessa's ban lacks an exception allowing disabled individuals to be accompanied by someone of the opposite sex. Yeah, that's a problem. We've talked about that before. Like, if a young man has a serious disability and needs assistance to use the restroom, and he's out and about with his mother, do they go into the women's restroom? And that woman is bringing a man into there, or does she accompany him into the men's restroom? And yeah, like this is the kind of this is one of those things where like disabled people get hit even when people are not trying to hit disabled people. Put in the ass into Texas. True, Nikki. True. You'd think that we would have moved past the bathroom debate years ago, but apparently we're still having this debate because Republican politicians just hate trans people that much. I mean, again, it's not that they hate us. It's that we're a convenient scapegoat group for them claiming more and more power. You know? They do this with everybody. They do this with immigrants. I mean, with everybody except white people. But like brown immigrants to this country. Oh my God, they're eating the dogs. They're gonna hit your children. Blah blah blah. Like it's just they just need an outside group to direct attention toward. And it's been shown that this is not very popular. And it's interesting how on these local elections, this tactic is not working. But then Trump decided to take it up anyway, even though we have seen numerous times, even in Republican-controlled... Oh my God, the word just completely left my brain. Jurisdictions, let's say. Even in Republican-controlled counties, states, whatever, Republican voters are tired of all this anti-trans shit. And I can kind of see where Kamala is coming from with her changing the tactics. And like, I mean, not really changing the tactics dramatically, but for her appealing to Republican voters, that Republican voters are kind of tired of all this anti-trans shit. They don't care about it. They want somebody to talk about the economy. They want somebody to talk about the grocery prices. So that's like, Kamala is trying to be an appealing Republican candidate in an attempt to siphon off those votes of people who are tired of Donald Trump's bullshit. I just feel like instead of the Democrat becoming a right-winger in order to facilitate Republican voters entering the party. Like, why is this not the time for the Libertarian Party? Are there conversations about the Libertarian Party? I only see conversations about the Green Party and how fucking shit they are. Oh, yeah, no worries, Alexandria. To be clear, I'm personally not taking a strong stance on, like, you're not allowed to call me Luxander anymore. In fact, it's still right here. I could remove this from the screen, and I just haven't. I'm probably going to ask EB the Purple to update it so that it just says Moss, or maybe it says Musing Moss down here. But, yeah, it's definitely not like a dead name. It's not like, oh my god, you people are using my birth name. Have fun, kitty. Ooh, since you're doing crochet, I will take a minute to show you this shawl that I'm basically finished with now. I still have to, like, tie it off, and I have a kind of what feels like a lot of yarn left over, but ultimately it's actually not that much yarn. So it's like, I don't think it's actually enough yarn for me to add to this project at all. But it's a big shawl. Come on, come on, come on. Are you going to redo the logo thumbnail? Yes. Oh no, it's getting caught on my dragon wings. So anyway, this is a shawl that I'm in the middle of making. I need to finish it here. There. Warm and cozy. What is this? It's made out of... Where is it? What is this? Acrylic, polyamide, and wool. But yes, the logo, I already have an artist working on it. It's my friend Dizzy, and Dizzy is disabled, so it's slow going, but that's okay. I need to get in touch with them and be like, yo, what's up? I summon Moss Dragon. No. Where is my wing? Did I mess this up? Oh no, I'm just big. Anyway, I don't want to wear this right now. I need to wash it because it's actually a little bit itchy. Get off there. Okay. Here we go. All right. How do you arrange to get a boost of views in the middle of a stream? It's like we started out stronger and now it's kind of like chilling out a little bit. If you're just coming in, hit the like button. Hello, Max. Auth-right versus lib-right infighting is way more discreet because if conservatives do something way too hostile to that camp, they're fucked for good. Fair enough. Sure. But I'm like, why do I not see more conservative-leaning people talking about how, like, I'm so tired of the Republican Party and I still think Kamala is a socialist, so I'm gonna vote for the Libertarian. I just don't see any of that conversation happening. Is Moose a new nickname for me based on Moss? I don't hate it. I'm just confused. But yes, anyway, I don't know if there's a whole lot else I can add about this bathroom thing. The bill was sold as protecting women in bathrooms from men entering the bathrooms, but the bill will force trans men into women's facilities. Obviously, one transgender man by the name of Eric brought up this point, asking the council, "Do I look trans to you?" and pointing out that one cannot always tell who is transgender. It's so fascinating how this is obviously ideologically driven. It's like, I'm literally a man and you want to put me in a women's restroom. And then 5 out of the 7 people on this council still voted for it, still voted in favor of that. Like, what do you think? You are too nice to be a moose. Moose are terrifying. Okay, I'll accept that. I'll take it. I just think it's cute. Honestly, I just think it's cute. It's like how Ty Turner, like, oh no, it's Goose. One of Ty Turner's dogs is called Goose. Shout out to Ty Turner, finally got top surgery. Yay. Bum. Yeah, obviously North Dakota and Kansas have similar bans which lack clear enforcement mechanisms. Odessa's bathroom ban stands out by relying on civil action for enforcement, an approach that readers may recognize from the legal strategies used to shield anti-abortion bounties from constitutional challenges. Yeah, like we're just making a new kind of civil lawsuit. Geese are also terrifying. True, geese are terrifying. In states that have enacted bathroom bans, enforcement has been minimal. For instance, Florida has yet to report any arrests under its criminal bathroom ban. That's a question of like, is it just because people are not using the restroom in public anymore? Or is it like, is that to say that trans people are passing well enough that they're just using the restroom like normal and it's not an issue? Like what, I wonder what is behind that. But yes, however, authorizing civil action with substantial payouts, Odessa isn't merely banning trans people from bathrooms. It incentivizes citizens to serve as enforcers, which could lead people to act as bathroom police. Yeah, we talked about this earlier. Like, it could genuinely, people could make this their job. Like, looking for trans people in bathrooms and getting these payouts. It would probably be fairly lucrative if you were correct. But you just, like, make it your job to, like, go to public restrooms and hang out there and see if anybody looks even remotely. Like, I wonder if you can countersue. If you're a cis person and you get caught out by one of these bans, like if somebody accuses you of being trans and you're not, and you go through this lawsuit and everything, can you then countersue that person for damages? I hope so. Wow, hiccups are not something I need right now. As the constitutionality remains contested in the courts, a Supreme Court decision on whether equal protection applies to trans individuals looms ahead. If the ruling finds that it does not, 2025 could bring an avalanche of similar legislation with Republican-led states and local governments emboldened to escalate restrictions. Yeah. So, okay, I'm done with that article now. For sure, it's definitely... The question rests on the Supreme Court right now, whether they're going to confirm that trans people have a protection under the 14th Amendment, basically. Like, are you allowed to pass laws that impact trans people and don't impact cis people? I've also been seeing a rise in anti-Semitism normalized in the far right. I mean, that's always been the case, though. Anti-Semitism has always been normalized in the far right. The problem is that it's becoming more normalized in the center right and on the left. And it's true, they never tell you in school that the Nazis targeted LGBTQ people. I don't know if it was first, but definitely they did target LGBTQ people. Oh, goodness gracious. What else do we have today? 46 viewers, 69 likes. Yes. Yes. And any donations today, whether that's super chats, joining on the YouTube page membership, or direct donations through the website. Do you want to see what's in the box? Do you wish to know? Do you wish to know? Do you wish to know and be known? Secret box. If we get to the donation goal. A dragon with hiccups could be a good writing prompt for a D&D campaign. Potentially. Like, it keeps, like, blasting fire out unintentionally. Or something. Like sneezing, basically. I don't know. Anyway. Yes, the first book burning was anti-trans, for sure. Oh, don't talk about Taco Bell. I literally dreamt about Taco Bell last night. Don't. I did not eat enough before the stream to be talking about food right now. I'm canceling food talk. It's official. We're not talking about food today. I want Taco Bell. I'm not allowing it. Yawn. OMG. Okay, I think I'm going to put on my duster, though. I had to remove my outer layers earlier because it was super duper hot in my house. And now I am a little bit chilly. Woo! Duster. Oh my gosh, we're at 71 likes. The next goal is to get to 100. Can we? Can we? Pretty please get to 100 likes? I really do look like somebody who would be on Book Talk right now, though. The only thing I'm missing is my glasses, which I haven't been wearing because they squeeze the sides of my head and I need to take them in to get adjusted, and I just haven't done that, but I should go ahead and wear them. I'm about to transform into a Book Talk person. The duster, like this neckline, the bun, I so look like a person who should be on Book Talk. Baking bread. Ooh, I've been thinking about baking bread too. I'm not sure if I'm going to do Thanksgiving dinner this year. I mean, I'll probably cook on Thanksgiving, but I don't know if I'm going to go all out with the bird and everything, because that shit's expensive and I'm literally about to try to move across the country. Just seems like unnecessary right now. But I was thinking about maybe I saw someone bake bread in the shape of a turkey, which I thought was hilarious, and I could see myself doing that. Like, let me just bake some bread in the shape of a turkey. I streamed last week, Andes. I don't know where you've been. I'm sorry y'all have to work. Would you prefer I had a more sporadic stream thing so that I just post on like random days of the week? You could be a decent Cyberpunk or Fallout vendor, really. Do the glasses make it librarian chic? Librarian chic? I don't know. I need to try harder to clean these, but I'm not going to do it right now. Supportive art / music teacher fit. True. Max, thank you. 5 gifted tier 1 subs. Thank you. Happy dark time of the year. Indeed. I am a fan of this time of the year. Ancom, Psycom, Guitar Rocker, Gayfesh, Junebug, and Obsis all got gifted tier 1 subs. Enjoy. Enjoy your dicks. Can we get some dicks in chat? I would love that. Sound off. Dicks in chat, please. But yes, thank you for the dono. I very much appreciate that. $65 for today. If we get to 200, I will open the secret mystery box. We did a Sonic-themed Thanksgiving last year, and the year before was Tiny Foods. Nice. Just found out about protein bread. Yo, I just said I wasn't going to go on food. I'm not going on food. I have food-related ideas. I'm not doing it. Okay, anyway. I'm not talking about food any more than I already have. Stop trying to get me to talk about food. Anyway, happy for you all doing Thanksgiving. Have fun. It's only 3 weeks away. Like 3.5 weeks away. It's a week away, a week away, a week away. Most fans like streamers who stream a bunch. It's how Hassan gets 30k people viewing his stream every day, and also how he's on the verge of snapping into roid rage all the time. Yeah, I was actually even just thinking that twice a week is kind of often, but I definitely am not going to stream less often for now, at least. But I guess, yeah, if you stream a bunch, I mean, if you stream every day, then yeah, everybody gets a little piece of you whenever they have free time. But like, I don't know. I feel like 3 times a week was a lot, but that was also when I was like recording content each time. I could do longer streams, I guess. I don't know. I'm in the middle of everything is changing, so we'll fucking figure it out over the course of the next 6 months or so. We'll figure it out. Who is this weird little library in my computer? Librarian. I need to. Do I want to? I still haven't decided if I want to take down my hair. I don't hate how it looks. It's kind of cute, almost. Oh God. Let's talk about this renters thing. This is relevant, kind of, to the fact that I'm about to be moving to this part of the country. So, in Washington State, this is where this is happening. In Washington State, landlord junk fees have forced one Vancouver renter to leave the state of Washington, saying, quote, "We're not wanted over here." Unlike Oregon, Washington has not passed legislation to rein in fees on tenants, which some officials defend as a way to keep rent prices down. What are you talking about? Okay. We got a bunch of ads on this page, even though I don't want them. A single mom in Vancouver recently found herself priced out of her home. It was not rent prices that forced her to leave, but rather junk fees. In a Vancouver neighborhood lined with lawns full of yellow grass, Shoane Hodges' home stands out in green. She says, "This year I watered it. I actually took the time to water it this year." So she's like improving the quality of the property, but being charged a bunch of junk fees. Oh, wow. Okay, so all through the summer, Hodges' garden hose was stationed in the front yard. The constant watering drove up her water bill, but it wasn't by choice. Hodges said her landlord fined her $125 for yellow grass, calling it a non-compliance fee. It cost her another $125 for the landlord to tape the fee notice on her front door. What the fuck? I would be suing the shit out of you. And that's not all. Hodges said representatives from the property management company, Zenith Properties Northwest, entered her home for an inspection and took pictures of a bowl of dog food and a bed that had been slept in. They billed her for an unauthorized pet and for having another occupant in the house. Within that walkthrough, I was charged $930. According to Hodges, the pet food was when her mom's dog visited. Why is your mom, like, okay, I have signed leases before that say you are not allowed to have a guest who is a pet. Like, you can't bring, even like somebody visiting can't bring their dog into the property. Why is the mom's dog there long enough that you needed to set down food for it? That seems like you must have been pet sitting. And also, if you know that you are not supposed to have pets, get rid of the evidence? I do feel like that was just her fucking up a little bit. And then apparently her 22-year-old son had been staying with her, accounting for the unmade bed. So that, I question that too, as like, you need to know what the lease agreement is. Like, I've signed lease agreements before where it's like you can't have a guest for longer than 2 weeks, or they would have to be accounted for on the lease. So it's like, are you allowed to have overnight guests? You should be allowed to have overnight guests, but if they're like, he had been staying with her for how long? That's an understandable, like, frankly, you're lucky you didn't get evicted if you had somebody staying with you for a period of time that exceeds your lease agreement. So like I'm like, you signed a contract. I'm not saying that it's right for the landowner to like set these limitations. I'm just saying, like, if you signed a contract and you violated it, then yes, they're going to charge you a fee or evict you. Like you signed an agreement. But she said, so okay, she was fined $125 for yellow grass, $125 for the landlord to tape the fee notice, charged $930 on a walkthrough. She says she now owes them $3,200 in just fees. Like, where are the rest of these fees coming from? Hodges has 3 young children and moved to Vancouver because rent prices were cheaper than in Portland. She rented the home with the help of Section 8 housing vouchers. At the end of 2022, Zenith tried to raise her rent by $900 a month, but the housing authority rejected the increase, saying it wasn't reasonable. But after the rent increase went away, the fees began. So he's just trying to find other ways to extract money. Can you stop? That's very distracting. Obviously, it's stressful. Yeah. Hodges' attorney, Carl Snodgrass, fantastic name, said it's a tactic meant to push the single mom out of her home, and Snodgrass has noticed an uptick in junk fees over the past few years. The dots line up, he said. I'm concerned that this is going to be a trend we see more and more. Days after Hodges spoke with KGW, she moved to Georgia to escape these fees, and Zenith relisted the home and raised the rent by $500 a month. Zenith declined a request for an interview, but said they'd answer questions via email. They did not respond directly to emailed questions, but provided this statement before refusing further comment. Zenith has followed the terms of the lease, which is compliant with Washington landlord-tenant law. What about Ethan Klein? Oh, did Ethan post something pro IDF or something? I haven't looked into that in detail. Let's see. Some areas, including the state of Oregon and cities like Seattle, limit junk fees through laws and ordinances. However, in Vancouver, there are no such regulations. Lawmakers tried last year to curb this. The Washington House passed HB 2114, which would have limited fees, but the bill died in the Senate after pushback claiming that it would lead to higher rents. Just pass a fucking rent control law. Actually, package it in the same law, as a matter of fact. God, I hate it when government is like, well, this bill, we can't do this because then some other thing will happen. Well, then pass a fucking rent control. Jesus. Frustrating. Representative Nicole Macri says she intends to bring that bill back, of course. Macri is adamant that Washington needs to address both rising rents and junk fees. There you go. Just fucking so stupid. Oh, we can't pass this because it's gonna increase rent. Like, pass fucking rent control. Honestly, and when people are like, my personal opinion, when we say rent control, I mean something like locking rent to a proportion of like the state minimum wage, you know, like assuming that a worker is working minimum wage and they're working 40 hours a week. And like, this is still it's not the best metric, but let's just assume person is working 40 hours a week at minimum wage. Rent should be tied proportionally to a third of what that person would be taking home. Like, easy. Fucking, if you want more rent, then increase the minimum wage. When the minimum wage increases, then you can increase the rent by a proportional and commensurate amount. But like, lock it in. It's crazy to me that this has not happened yet. Excuse me. Oh my God. Ethan's been getting a little bit pro-Zio lately. Yeah, I remember finding it weird that his wife had been in the IDF, but I guess it's like legally required there. Where you go to prison. Like, I don't know. Okay, that's the end of that article. But yeah, I know in Oregon, like, I'm pretty sure in Oregon, you are not allowed to charge cleaning fees when someone moves out of an apartment. Like, it's just considered part of the required, like, this is part of doing business. If you need to clean the unit afterwards, you're not allowed to charge for stupid shit. Feels like a lot of things like medical costs and political office holder pay should be tied to minimum wage. Oh, no, I don't disagree with that at all. Ethan had 4 pro-Palestine streamers suspended for, quote, anti-Semitism and started concern trolling about other streamers talking about it, sometimes even while the person in question is live. Really? So he's just, like, going after anybody who's not aggressively pro... I'm going to have to, like, look into that more before I make any definitive statements about it. I don't think Ethan Klein is a very smart human being, but I don't know that he's stupid enough to be like, I've decided that pro-Palestine protesters are Zionistic terrorists. I don't know. I would need to look into that further. I generally think that Ethan Klein is, like, well-meaning but kind of stupid. So I guess if he's talking to the wrong people, then he could potentially get this idea in his head that, like, the flattening of the nuance. I mean, you know, this is, like, one of the things that I think differentiates intelligent people from non-intelligent people, or, like, more intelligent versus less intelligent people, is, like, the nuance. Being able to identify that, like, yes, the way in which some people talk about Israel is anti-Semitic, but there are legitimate criticisms of Israel that can be made outside the context of anti-Semitism, and that being pro-Palestinian is not inherently anti-Semitic. Wanting the country of Israel to not exist anymore is not anti-Semitic. Wanting Palestine to reclaim their lost territory is not anti-Semitism. It's anti-Israel, sure, but it's not anti-Jewish people. Yeah, we're talking about Ethan Klein from the H3H3 podcast. He does this when he's mad enough at someone and running out of arguments. Okay. Everyone underestimates how easily success makes you overconfident. I guess fair enough. You get this impression that you're right. If so many people agree with you, then you must be right, you know? This is one of the reasons why I really respect H Bomber Guy, is that when people are agreeing with him, he goes, oh, well, I need to double check that I'm right, actually. Like, what do the experts actually say? Do the experts agree with me? Which experts agree with me? As previously stated, y'all, I've kind of checked out a little bit of the conversation about Palestine and everything, because I'm just like, there's, like, nothing I can do to change this. We have tried to protest. We've tried to vote. Like, there's nothing that any American can do to stop what's happening in Gaza. So just, like, I don't consider it my moral responsibility to know what's happening. I mean, I know what's happening. Children are dying. They're being murdered. I still am scrolling past pictures of their bodies on my fucking timeline. Like, I get it. It's human atrocities. It's horrible. And I can't keep my brain engaged, or I will give myself PTSD again. And I kind of need to not have that happen in order to actually be effective on the home front. So, yeah. God bless anybody here who is still keeping up with all that, because I fucking just can't if I wish to remain functional. Someone just mentioned Anna Kasparian. I did retweet something about with Jenk and Anna that I wanted to respond to because I thought it would be kind of fun. Yes, I need my headphones. But yes, Danzig, what are you talking about with Anna Kasparian? Is it this that I'm about to show? Is it this that we're about to review? Okay, let's see.
Notion of a fascist. Because look, if we're just going to use fascist toward anyone we dislike, all right, then the word doesn't actually mean anything.
Okay, what do you want me to say, Anna? You want me to say wannabe dictator?
Sure, you can say wannabe dictator, but I don't even think he wants to be a dictator.
Of course he does. That's what you do when you lose an election and you go, oh, I got fake electors and I'd like to terminate the Constitution and bring out the tanks and use martial law against American citizens and shoot protesters. I mean, if that's not fascist, then I guess the word just shouldn't exist.
But was he able to do those things?
Trump's
no, his
I love Jenk is just like, are you fucking kidding me, Anna? Like, there's still like half of this video left, but I just found that really kind of amusing, if nothing else, that Jenk, whose opinions I largely don't agree with, I mean, like many of his opinions I don't agree with, but for Anna Kasparian to be like, well, he's not a fascist because he didn't actually succeed in doing any of those things. Like, are you fucking kidding right now? Oh, man. I've only heard she's been anti-trans. I don't watch her. Oh, okay. Well, I was wondering if there was anything new because we have covered her anti-trans comments before. Okay, let me finish this video.
His rhetoric is awful.
Okay, if you don't want to be called fascist, stop saying fascist things. It's not that hard.
Okay.
Not that hard. Oh, here, let me have dinner with Nick Fuentes, who's a Nazi, Kanye, who's a Nazi, and let me say there's good people on the Nazi side. Oh, it could be pro-Confederate guys. Might be guys who are pro-slavery who are good guys. Let me do all of these things. Let me say that immigrants are poisoning the blood of our nation, a Nazi term that is only used in the past by Nazis.
True.
And then say, I'm going to ban Muslims, I'm going to do this and this and this to all the other ethnic groups, and then go, oh, I can't believe you called me a fascist. No, he is a fascist. I'm very happy to call him a fascist.
All right.
Anna just has to be like, well, my boss disagrees with my dumbass takes, so I guess I'll shut the fuck up now. It's pretty funny. Yeah, Anna clearly has no clue what she's talking about right now. And it's funny for Jenk to be frustrated with her in the same way that I've been frustrated with her. It's like, dude, you cannot be this stupid. Once upon a time, Leafy was a normalish person who wasn't addicted to drugs and forced into spaces populated predominantly by fans of Nick Fuentes, but Leafy kept making video outros making fun of Ethan, and the one with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Hologram was funny and went trending. This is while Susan Wojcicki, I can't ever remember how to pronounce her name, was still CEO. She attended Ethan and Hila's wedding. Wow. Goalposts approaching the speed of light. Yeah, it's interesting. So you're basically saying that Ethan caused Leafy to do drugs? I don't really know. That seems like a lot of backstory for me to catch up on. I don't keep up with Ethan Klein. I remember I covered like a joke that Ethan made that's people were like, oh my God, this is a transphobic joke. Like we talked about it once upon a time, but it's so funny to me when these relatively mediocre men have like huge, enormous audiences. And I'm just like, I don't really think about them very much. I don't consider his existence very often. The fucked up part is she absolutely knows what Jenk is talking about and is actively contradicting it anyway. I mean, at least she shut up in this moment. Like, obviously, this only 1 minute out of the entirety of their show. But for Jenk to just be like, no, he is obviously fascist. This is what fascists do, and he's been doing it. And then for Anna just to be like, okay, well. And then has no choice but to move on because what are you going to... She has no argument. That's the thing. Anna keeps having to run away. She's putting a position out there, and then when it's challenged, she just runs away from it. And then she comes back later and she restates the same argument because she can't engage with the arguments or she would have to change her mind. That's the problem. Anyway, I thought that was funny when I saw it. I was like, just Jenk getting so frustrated with Anna. That was very funny. Excuse me. How long till Anna goes full Russell Brand? I mean, didn't Russell Brand recently start like a Christian-esque cult thing? Yes, I also forget about Ethan Klein. He comes up again and I'm like, oh yeah. Reactivate some neurons in my brain because I forgot about him. Jake and Anna having a blue on blue lightsaber fight. That's pretty funny. Oh, fun stuff. Okay, we covered this Vancouver story. Don't need it open anymore. We still have to talk about the Green Party, Twitch's new rules, and the Internet Archive, and that's kind of all I have planned today. Prepared to chit-chat about whatever. Ooh, here's a fun thing. In about 3 weeks, I'm getting a new sexy piercing, which I'm excited about. So it's debatable whether I will stream on Sunday 3 weeks from now. So what else is going on before moving on to the next topic? I'm very excited about building a wardrobe after I move because I'm not trying to acquire any new things right now. Mostly, like, almost every time you guys see me, I'm just wearing, like, a tank top. Probably even one that I slept in, and then, like, a hoodie or something over it. I do want to have more stuff. I'm just, like... I'm just having a hard time spending any money on anything. I'm like, I just need to save all my money. I'll get compression socks because maybe that will help me not have extreme chest pain, but whatever. I used to watch H3, but I got tired of watching 8-hour streams talk about 2 or 3 topics. I mean, depending on how deeply you can mine one topic for like a couple hours. I didn't know you were into woodworking. Listen. I do kind of feel like, what do you do for an 8-hour show? Like, what can you possibly do for 8 hours? We have 75 likes. We're trying to get to 100. Click it if you haven't already, please. But yeah, like what, like, I think the longest ones that I've done have been like 6 hours maybe, and that's fucking pushing it for me. Like, sometimes I get to the 2-hour mark in my show and I'm like, well, shit, I don't have anything else prepared. I know, like, Demon Mama, she will go on, like, an 8-hour stream. I think a lot of the time when she does that, she ends up doing a game or, like, something along those lines for the last couple hours. But I just don't know. What are you doing with your time if you're streaming for 12 hours a day every day? I mean, a good portion of that time, apparently, you're, like, leaving the room and letting the chair handle stream, as with the classic jokes, but I just feel like I only have so much to say. Or, like, if I was going to go deep on something, like, of course, it's probably easy to have a 3-hour stream of, like, yeah, I'm going to go in deep on Jaime Lannister. We're going to read all these excerpts about Jaime Lannister and, like, go in deep and take comments from the chat and have a guest on who can fluff out some of that 3 hours, but I think I would struggle to keep it on one topic for that long. And then to be like, okay, now I need to do that several more times for an 8-hour show to pad the whole thing out. I know Demon Mama would be streaming 20-hour days, 9 days a week. Anyone know if or when she is coming back? I don't know. I haven't asked her when she's coming back from hiatus, but I'm interested in that too, because I'm starting to wonder if maybe she's catching some of the same burnout that I've been catching. Because, like, you know, I made that video recently, and we talked about all these different YouTubers and other types of creators as well stepping away from politics. I did consider talking about Demon Mama, because I do know that she's been doing more, you know, gaming content and other stuff along those lines. But another thing that I thought about is, like, Demon Mama goes on vacation fairly frequently. I mean, compared to me, like, I don't take vacation. Maybe if I skip a stream, but I'm not, like, going to, like, I'm not traveling, or I'm not taking, like, a whole month off or anything. And it seems like Demon Mama takes more frequent breaks, and God bless her. Like, I'm not bitching or anything. I'm not criticizing her for it. It's just like an observation that, you know, if you are steeped in these conversations, either you end up taking lots of breaks, or you burn out and you have to start doing something else. Like, I was kind of curious if maybe that is part of why she takes frequent breaks. And her most recent bombshell videos have been, like, dropping the nuke on Xander Hall and stuff. So, like, her most recent videos have not been political in the same way, but they have been talking about drama and responding to allegations that she, because of who she's dating, is somehow involved in something, whatever. Like, you know, I do think it's interesting looking at those dynamics of who takes frequent breaks, who posts every day versus who posts only once a month. And, like, what are people talking about? How is the substance of what people talking about changing over time? And, like, I could DM her and ask her. You know, we're coworkers. we're in community, basically. But I just haven't. I feel like it's kind of personal too. It's like, and I feel like it's somewhat accusatory if you're like, why do you take so many breaks? You know, if you have 300 viewers in your stream and you post 8-hour streams a couple times a month, she gets plenty of donations. Like, she can afford to take the time off. And she also has, like, 6 roommates or something. I mean, because she's in a polycule. She's got, I was exaggerating a little bit. She has several roommates because she's in a polyamorous dynamic. And so, yeah, it's, like, not as necessary for her to stream constantly, which I respect that too. It's like having the ability to take the step away is really beneficial. I've started with the line, and I'm compensated through the line, and that's part of why I'm able to take a step back from daily content, because it balances out somewhat. I've been watching Dead Domain streams. It's like community with a lead discussion moderator. I really, really like Jordan. I think that they're really cool. And I think for my next video that has a voiceover part, I'm going to ask them to do it. There's, like, several different people that I'm like, oh yeah, I should ask this person if they'll do VO for me. It's one of the fun things about doing pre-prepared content too, is that you can go, you know, you can be like, oh yeah, I'm going to include a quote, and then have one of your friends or coworkers or whatever participate in the creation. It's quite nice. Oh my gosh, I gotta drink more water. I'm gonna need to take a bathroom break here before too long as well. Chloe Grace Moretz has come out as gay. God bless. I don't know who that is. I'm reaching that ripe old age, Moretz. I'm reaching that ripe old age where I don't know who these people are. I still have not heard a single Chapel Rowan song. Is it Chapel Rowan or just Chapel Roan? I don't know. I haven't heard a single one of her songs. I am old. The absence made Tyler's interview investigating her look more credible. Listen, she had already been on vacation. She was on vacation when Tyler made the video. So her absence, it was like fucking completely unrelated. But also, like, I really deeply resent the idea that we need to make a fucking video response to every spurious allegation. Like, I genuinely don't think, like, she made a video because people in her community were concerned. So she made a video to address her community. But I really think this is a slippery slope situation where it's like, if someone accuses me of like grooming my younger sibling because I have a younger sibling who identifies as trans, or like if someone says like, oh, this person, I mean, I don't like have a public partner or whatever, but if my partner did something and then they were like, oh, well, you are implicated in this, I don't think that these accusations should be addressed every single time. I think sometimes it's better to ignore them and be like, oh yeah, these, like, not even responding to it, but just in your private situation, just being like, yo, I'm not going to give credibility to these people in this accusations. Like, why do we have to come to heel for every transphobe who tries to accuse us of pedophilia? Like, girl. Roan. Okay, Chapel Roan. Thank you. Appreciate that. But I already talked about this before. Like, I think if you're part of a marginalized community who gets the same accusation thrown against them all the time, I think at a certain point you do not have to address that shit. Even with Vosh and the accusations of him being like into lowly or he's a pedo or whatever, Vosh is a functionally bisexual man. He identifies as pansexual. He's a queer man, and queer men have historically been accused of preying on children. So if you get that accusation, I think because of the history of it, you get this certain like grace to just be like, yeah, I'm not going to respond to homophobic allegations. And it's true. It's true with, I think, BPD as well. Like, I have borderline personality disorder. I know people with BPD. People with BPD are accused of being abusive a lot. And so for me, because again, that accusation has been levied spuriously a lot, if somebody who has BPD is accused of being abusive, I give that, I require a higher degree of proof, basically, before I'm going to like hop on that. Yeah, Vosh is autistic. I don't know that that's really relevant to the accusations of pedophilia, but I don't know. Yeah, actually, is there like a history of accusations of being a danger to children? Like, I guess if you're like very disabled type of autistic, then maybe people are like, oh my God, that person could accidentally hurt that kid. But I don't think that it's like related to sexual crimes. I don't know. I'm interested to know if there's like a deeper concept behind that. Yo, I wish I had a honey stick right now. I don't have one, and I wish I did. Soothe my poor throat. Excuse me. Yep. Excuse me again. I don't think I had anything else on my notes for today. We have things in the Discord that we're going to continue talking about. I only bring that up because the way he responds can come off as cold or something. Yeah, I mean, also, I think that being under heavy criticism all the time for spurious things can cause you to become detached and sort of disinterested. But yeah, I don't think of Vosh as being cold, but that might just be because I am also autistic, and the vibes don't come across that way. I've seen women on Twitter with intellectual disabilities talk about how men with intellectual disabilities get away with sexual abuse and harassment of them because they are presumed to not know better. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. That is at least tangentially relevant. It's not necessarily relevant to the question about children, but like, yeah, that they think that they can victimize women with intellectual disabilities because they can, play both sides. Like, oh, well, I didn't know any better. And this woman, like, people won't believe her as much because she's intellectually disabled. And yeah, maybe she won't even say anything because she doesn't understand, whatever. Like, I can see that being multifaceted. Some autistic people struggle with seeing age in some situations. Like, I will forget I'm talking to a child and just talk right over their heads about advanced subjects. Yeah, I guess I haven't seen that as much. Or maybe it's because autistic people don't see a huge distinction between, like, a child is just a person who doesn't know stuff. But I do sometimes struggle with like knowing what's developmentally appropriate to talk about with children, not in the sexual sense, but like I was visiting with one of my family members who has a kid who at the time was like 11 or 12, and I was like, "Oh, we were talking about the slur gypsy and how you shouldn't use it anymore." And I was like, "Oh," and I was like, "How much do you know about the Holocaust?" And he was like, "Nothing." And I was like, "Okay, well, it's a bad term that was used violently against people." And then I left it at that, because it's like, I don't know what you know already, and I don't know what you're like, what's appropriate to tell you. I don't know how young you should learn about certain subjects without it being like traumatizing to you. Uh yeah. So I guess I do struggle with that a little bit. Cuz I was definitely consuming information that I probably shouldn't have had access to at a fairly young age. Autistics get accused of a lot of stuff because the vast majority of people don't actually know anything about being autistic. It's like the modern equivalent of accusing someone of witchcraft, lol. You know, I was actually just getting into some, um like, I watched a video recently from Wired, actually. You may have seen it. It's like the history of like why, I think the title of the video or something is like, why do witches wear hats or something. But she talks about the witch trials. She's a professor. She talks about the witch trials and how it evokes these blood libel things and anti-Semitic tropes, and that it relied on this presumption of like, you're harming children, you're playing with the devil or whatever. And it occurs to me that like witch hunts have changed in their form and function, but they still very much happen. Like, even with this new wave of like anti-trans bigotry, and the fact that we still are scared of people, like culturally scared of people who are goth, who have heavy piercings, who have like lots of tattoos. I kind of think that, and like still evoking this concept of harm to children and everything, it seems to me as though witch hunts haven't changed fundamentally. Like, it's still like, it's just transforming. It's adapting to each new modern era. I think everyone struggles with that because children are also different. Yeah, I mean, fair. It's like hard to know what's developmentally appropriate because everybody's brain develops differently. Are you talking about Tyler right now, Oxpecker? He recently lightened up on his anti-white leaf grudge in a video called The Two Forks of the Online Left, where he regrets invoking the word pedophile, but that Vosh's corner of the internet has blind spots where sexually degenerate behavior can hide, because if it ever gets called out, then the person calling it out is mad about the sexual revolution or transphobic or hates women. He said it eats at the public perception of the left, but went on to call Hassan's community infinitely worse. Oh yeah, no, I was thinking of the Satanic Panic for sure, Max, with the whole witch hunts 2.0. Absolutely. But yeah, Tyler, I don't really have a lot of comment about him. I think that he just needs to chill, basically. West Side Tyler, he just needs to chill. You know, the idea that like because I host my website on Whiteleaf means that I'm adjacent to pedophilia and like the threat of being doxxed, that was a very serious concern for me. And I took actions to protect myself because I was concerned about being doxxed because someone who's on the same website network as me was being accused of something she did not do. So yeah, I just think West Side Tyler needs to chill and not threaten my friends with violence and not threaten me and my coworkers with doxing. Like, that shit's dangerous. We're trans in a country where being trans is dangerous. So yeah, like I'm not really, I don't think it's cute. Witch hunts are just scapegoat turned up the volume. I mean, yeah. And a lot of the time witch hunts they're deeply personal, you know? Like, oh, this person, we had a conflict years ago and she gave me the stink eye and then my son got sick a week later and I think that maybe she did that. It's like very weird. But really interesting historically. And it's interesting to contextualize what's going on today, you know? And like at the same time as we have this resurgence of like reclaiming the witch. I mean, that's what this is over here. Reclaiming the witch. You know? Got my little broomstick. It used to have a pen in it. Like the reclamation of the witch is happening at the same time as people are still getting like letters from their conservative neighbors who are like, you really should take down all those Halloween decorations. Like it's not cute. This is the time for the devil. And like, okay. So why do they wear hats? We actually, apparently, historically, do not have any idea where the image of the witch's hat came from. It could be like a stylized version of caps that were worn in that time period, but it's actually very unclear historically where the witch hat comes from. So that's very interesting. Although obviously characteristics like the big nose and like the, you know, those kind of facial features, that calls back to anti-Semitic tropes. The idea of a woman, you know, using these magics and poisoning people or whatever. Like anytime an apple is invoked, you should think of Eve and the original sin of temptation, and like a lot of accusations against witches are based on like sexual promiscuity. So even the concept of like sexual promiscuity still being a subject of scrutiny in today's age calls back to the witch hunts, where it was like if you were sexually liberated, and also like some other factors perhaps, like witches were accused of basically having sex with the devil as a means of obtaining power. It's very, very interesting. Snow White is going to hit different now. Truly, yeah, like Snow White is a great example of the witch archetype and it calling back to all these different symbols, really, like these symbols of Satanism and witchery and the fall of man and yeah, these like fears of, and I mean, like, Snow White actually is a great example of this because not only do you have the witch, but you have the Mary, like the virginal, clean, virtuous woman being tempted by the Eve apple symbol. And yeah, like there's a lot of really good meaty stuff going on in there. Sex with the Devil sounds pretty cool. I mean, y'all have seen those statues of Lucifer that were Lucifer statue too sexy. Where is it? Yeah, it's this one. I think my favorite thing to happen in art history is when a guy made a Lucifer statue that was too hot for church, so they commissioned his brother who made an even hotter one. Love that. I think it's probably just an exaggerated granny gardening hat, which is also grew herbs, and they would wear a hat outside, probably makes them more pale. So a green pallor could, yeah, yeah, that kind of makes sense because it's a wide brimmed hat, which would be which would protect you from the sun working in your garden. I could see that for sure. In the original Snow White, they make the evil stepmother dance in glowing hot iron shoes until she dies. Fun. Good stuff. Yeah, the too sexy statue. This, like, Lucifer's too sexy. You gotta get him out of here. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. I also feel obligated to just mention that, like, my GoFundMe for moving has also not received any new donations in a while, and there's no fees. Or, I mean, there's some processing fees, but, like, you can donate directly on the GoFundMe, and that would be cool. But mostly, direct donations to the website are just fine. And super chats are fine too. It's all good. If we get to $200, we'll open the box. What's in the box? What's in there? I don't know. And we're still trying to get to 100 likes today, so if you haven't clicked the like button, please do that. I'm going to be on Transatlantic Call-In Show like a lot this month too. For some basically scheduling reasons, I was not on Takis very much in October. So you can see me on Takis probably a lot this month, including, I think, on Thanksgiving Day. Thanksgiving Takis episode. I think I'm going to run to the bathroom, take a little break, come back. We still have at least 4 different things that I have planned to talk about. Or sorry, 3 different things that I have planned to talk about. And then, you know, I'm sure we'll continue getting off on these side tangents and having lots of fun. So let me get some music prepped for you so that you have something to entertain you while I'm gone. Okay. I'm going to load up a couple because I know that I'm going to go to the bathroom and take a minute. Hey, thank you, Turtlebird Me, for the 777 on the super chat. What's in the box? Yeah. I had another reference come to mind the other night that was better than what's in the box, but I can't remember what it was. So I'm just going to have to take the L on that one. That puts us at $72.77. I don't understand why you people vote with, or why you folks donate with strange amount of cents, but whatever, it's fine. You should do some Twitch streams. I've been getting around there quite a bit simply through chatting. Dead Domain playing 3 of my songs on stream last week. I would have to do streams dedicated on Twitch if I was going to do Twitch streams, because like the software to restream on both sites is like expensive, and I don't really see a benefit in doing that. Like maybe I could do some Twitch exclusives like every once in a while, but I'm sure that I would struggle to find an audience on there. I don't know. I've looked into it extensively. I've debated, like, should I go ahead and just stream on Twitch? But it's expensive, like more than you would think. And it would be different if I made more money. And it's like there's no guarantee that I'm going to make more money if I stream on Twitch simultaneously. So donating is way easier there. Yeah, the problem is, like, I don't have a built-in channel audience. So it's like I'm not going to get as many viewers, which automatically means that donations will be lower, even if the process of donating is easy. I don't know. Trust me, I have thought about it. It's still something that I'm considering, and I just haven't decided. But actually, when we get back, I'm going to talk about some Twitch guidelines that have just changed. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ancom Psycom, for $17.23, which brings us to an even $100. Wow. Thank you. I appreciate that. Just gonna update that. Okay. Yeah, because, I mean, the reason why I didn't stream on Twitch in the first place was because they were policing things like self-referential slurs and things like that. And now it seems like they're adding similar kind of restrictions again, which might make it not worth it for me to post there. But I don't know. Anyway, let me just add some like very chill vibes music for while I'm gone. Okay. Oh, that brings us to 90. Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry. I just was trusting your math. But it turns out it's only 90. Okay. There's got to be some open source solution for streaming to multiple sites. I mean, I have not found one. And also, like, I don't know. I'm kind of weird about open source stuff. Oh my goodness. Bunch of messages in my Discord all of a sudden. Okay. No worries. Okay, I've got some music teed up for you. I'll be back in about 5 minutes, okay? Don't go anywhere, or I will cry. I'm back right in time for Ancom SciComm to donate another $10. Thank you. Making up for my previous poor arithmetic. Now it's $100. There we go. We're halfway. We're halfway there. Whoa. Lemon on a bear. Anyway, thank you. If we get another $100 before the end of the show, which we have an hour and a half left, we can find out what's in the box. Oh, what's in there? What? Oh, you can't know. Secrets. And I'll flex if you want me to. You can see my muscles. I can't exercise again for like 3 more weeks. This is the thing. Like, I'm trying to be very careful. I just had COVID. I need to get back into things gently. So in about 3 weeks, I'm going to start like probably some muscle stuff instead of cardio. I'll probably wait to do anything cardio related, but lizard on a chair. Listen, that's racist against dragons. How dare you call me a lizard? I will. What was that? It's like, I will. What do lizards do? They stick out their tongues. YouTube's better if you're already doing well, but getting Google AdSense approval is like talking to the DMV. Yeah, that's part of the thing. I'm established on YouTube. I'm grandfathered in. I have been on the ads, like I've been a partner in the partner program for a long time, so I don't need to renegotiate any of that. Lizards lick their eyeballs. Yeah, but I was like, what would I do to someone else? Like, how dare you call me a lizard? I will. And then the joke would be like, I do something that a lizard does. Like, and the tongue came to mind because some lizards do like the frog thing where it's like, bleh, and then they eat stuff. But it's like, how can I direct that toward people without me basically threatening to lick people? They spit. True. Some of them like spit blood out of their eyeballs or something? Okay, that's what I'll do. True, Ancom SciComm. Whoa, we're halfway there. Whoa, dragon in its lair. True. I sing badly on purpose, by the way. I just want everybody to know that I can sing for real, but I just do it bad on purpose. For the show, for the funsies. Let's talk about Twitch, because this is a little video that we can watch. I want to know what's up with this. Probably need to take my volume down a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to get the volume figured out here.
QIA plus topics to be labeled. I'm going to break down the policies themselves.
Okay, cool. That seems like a decent volume for you guys. So let's take it back to the beginning, and we're going to watch this 6-minute video. Who is the user? What is this? By Yucko X. Yucko EX. Okay.
Twitch now requires streams that involve LGBTQIA plus topics to be labeled. I'm going to break down the policies themselves, then go into exactly why this matters so much even if you don't use Twitch. Twitch is a place for people to express themselves and discuss the world around them. We require streams to be labeled when the focus of the stream includes discussions and debates about political or sensitive social issues. Now down here is the points that we need to focus on. Discussing ideological or social political views on topics like gender, race, sexuality, or religion. Right under that is discussing legislation related to sensitive social issues such as reproductive rights.
So I think part of the reason why people are upset about this and they're criticizing it is because, like, what's the distinction between... So, okay, we have a clear, like, okay, talking about legislation related to these sensitive issues, that's one thing. But, like, if you are queer and you are talking about, like, your own partner... You're like, oh yeah, if you're gay and you're like, my husband and I went to the whatever, like, does that qualify as LGBTQIA plus content that needs to be tagged. And also something that I hope that this user gets into is explaining what this tag does for content. Does it change like who it can be recommended to? Does it change monetization settings? That's something that I have found is pretty unclear in the conversations around this. So I'm excited to see if we get any like elucidation on that point.
Rights, LGBTQ plus rights, or immigration. What this means is LGBTQ streamers have to flag all of their streams or ignore and avoid most LGBTQ relevant topics. Why? Well, as a streamer, I like to talk about stuff, and I just so happen to be trans, literally all the time. What can I say? I'm a dubiously slay bean. Like anyone else who transitions, this shapes so much of our life, it's incalculable. It also means anyone that's openly trans will have questions about it, be it from the community or outside sources. So either we have our stream flagged at all times, or we ignore these questions and never bring up experiences of being trans. Is this a broad stroke? Absolutely. It kinda has to be, given both legislation and our views on gender identity parallel with so many topics.
Yeah, that's a great question, Danzig. How is this different from saying that black people are a controversial subject? Yeah, vague descriptions are not good. That means that they can apply it selectively to whomever they want. This is why laws are written in this really annoying, obtrusive manner where that's like very difficult to understand for a layperson, because they have to account for all of the different caveats. Like, this is why a law that is written vaguely is a bad law, basically. Is like, because it can be interpreted by whomever, it can be applied to whomever. Yeah. So it's like, okay, this is part of what I'm saying about if you are suggesting to me that I should stream on Twitch. I talk about these topics constantly. I talk about politics constantly. So it's like, what impact would this have on my channel?
Not only are their policies vague, but Twitch has a notoriously inconsistent history with their policy management. Twitch does state that intermittent mentions are not required to have the label, but that is not enough. And for two very obvious reasons. One, multiple of these points should not be in this policy at all, especially when being compared to military.
Oh, it actually does say discussing ideological or socio-political views on topics like race. So if you are saying like, I as a black person have the view like that black people shouldn't be killed by police or something, like, is that, do you have to flag your shit now? Yeah, sure, maybe they'll put a little pink triangle next to their names. Yeah, absolutely. The whole reason that people are dying from abortion bans is because the exceptions are so vague that doctors can't know if they apply. Well, I mean, and even if it's obvious that like this person is literally fucking septic, it's still like the risk of being sued is great enough that they're worried about the ramifications. Like, it's literally less risky for the hospital to let this person die than it is to save them in terms of potential monetary ramifications later on. Like, what is the family going to sue for wrongful death? Like, maybe. But when the alternative is like potentially losing your license or losing all Medicaid funding, like, yeah, being put like these situations are just not good to put people, like, leaving it to the individual judgment of these doctors and nurses weighing these consequences as opposed to prioritizing the well-being of a person's life. Yeah, anyway.
Complex. And two, intermittent mentions is just a few words, which is insane. Given the label will likely deter viewers, there is a clear incentive not to use it. In other words, to avoid the topics altogether. For now, you may be asking yourself, isn't this just censorship but with extra steps? I promise I'm getting to the broader implications.
Censorship. I personally don't believe that private entities can do censorship. I believe that censorship is something the government does. That's my opinion.
Just hang tight as I paint the full picture here. Given most aspects of our lives have different laws literally everywhere, things as simple as HRT access may parallel too close to legislation, perhaps even views depending on context.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Like, if you talk about HRT at all, that's a political thing.
Because views is so incredibly broad, many topics about just our experience in transition could parallel too closely as well and get us penalized. Talking about getting married to someone of the same gender is quite the same, given different laws in different states and different countries and different provinces.
Sure.
Now, is the intent for Twitch to penalize any account that brings that up immediately? No. But if it does turn into a discussion unintentionally, then in that scenario, there is a realistic probability that someone gets penalized for not having flagged their stream.
But
So
like
what if the
penalized how?
penalties
Okay, hold on.
themselves-
Account suspensions will not be issued for incorrectly labeling a stream. If you fail to accurately label your stream, you will receive a warning via email. Multiple warnings will be issued before any other action is taken. Repeated failure to label content correctly may result in Twitch applying a label to your stream on your behalf that will be locked for a set period of time. Like, again, I don't really see how this is negatively impacting the stream. Like, I want it to be clear. But that's part of what the issue is. Like, if there isn't a clear, okay, here are the ramifications. If your stream is set at this setting, then it will reach fewer viewers, or you will, this is a way of our advertisers deciding whether they want their stuff being advertised on your channel, whatever. Like, it would be nice to see some clarity there.
Twitch claims that account suspensions will not be issued for incorrectly labeling a stream. Multiple warnings will be issued before any other action is taken. And finally, repeated failure may result in them locking the label onto your account for a period of time. So how does this affect the community at large? Establishing the idea that these topics are something that need to be flagged as controversial sets a damning precedent. I mean,
Also, is there anything else on Twitch that gets flagged this way? Like military recruitment streams, do they have a special flag? Or borderline NSFW content, does that get a flag? Or are we just now, like, is this a brand new thing that there are no other examples of this? I remember when Twitch flagged people as anti-vaxxers just for talking about the vaccine. Yeah, that is problematic. That's part of why it's hard to talk about COVID on some platforms, because if you're giving information about COVID, it is very easy for people to flag your shit and have it taken down for misinformation, even if you are providing completely accurate information. I've seen it happen before.
for sakes, they grouped it in with live streaming protests and civil unrest. Oh, did I not mention that? Yeah. The other ones are discussing military conflicts, foreign policy decisions, national security masters. How are these at all equal? Other companies will be watching. At the end of the video, I'll show you how you can make your voice heard, and if we don't, then other companies may follow in this step backward. Beyond that, all of this enables those that view LGBTQ rights as controversial. There should be no reinforcement for that idea. Not even the slightest of an inkling. Zero. But let's dissect exactly how damaging and ridiculous this is. Twitch,
like, I could see the benefit, like, if the Twitch people are thinking, like, anybody who's critical of queer rights, we want to make sure that content gets flagged. So, but in order to not target them specifically and create, like, a political row around that, they're just like, we want this flag to be on everybody. This VTuber is called YuckoEX. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if she's going to go into it at all.
is saying your legal protections are too controversial to be spoken about on a normal stream. That may not be their intent, and maybe it sounds disingenuous or like I'm reaching too far to say that, but that's certainly how it feels. Especially when the flag used on an LGBTQ topic is used on mass tragedies like war. Let me rephrase that. I don't think I hit the amount of curse words I can say in a video. Like fucking war. Going on Twitch and seeing trans creators either flagged as being controversial or too afraid to talk about topics that matter is just not it. And most frustrating of all is this reinforces and validates those with malcontent towards the community. All of this brings us to one question. Twitch, are you drunk? Are you doing the drugs? Am I gonna have to call McGruff the crime dog on you? Now, it's important to note that it works the other way as well. If someone wants to talk against transitioning, etc., then they have to flag their stream as well. But they'd have to go out of their way to be a douche nozzle, whereas people like myself are just trans. Literally, all the time. Never stops. Just wake up, I'm trans. I go to sleep, I'm trans. I'm just doing it all the time. That's what I do. Then again, there was that one time Oreo, the world's largest distributor of disappointment masquerading in cookie form, said trans people exist and Twitter got in a ruffle, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on anymore. Good God, out of this entire video, my opinion on Oreos will be the most controversial thing, won't it? This is only a battle of a much larger war, but it's a winnable battle and you can help. It's a battle for...
Yeah, so I don't really see... Like, I wish that there was more meat and more, like, discussion about what this label will do to the content. Like, again, is it just for advertisers? Does it change who this content will be promoted to? Like, does this flag the content as 18 and 18 plus? Like, I don't think that there's enough detail. But again, that is a criticism of the policy. Like, the fact that there isn't any clarity on this should give people pause. And it is something that deters me, like a queer creator, from going on that platform. Like, Twitch is potentially losing out on money because of the way that they crack down on these things. Yeah, it says a bad precedent and can lead to bad places. Like, what does it mean for the content to be flagged? Because, I mean, you can, like, I'm pretty sure you can already give your stuff like an LGBTQIA plus tag for search parameter reasons. It's been a while since I streamed on Twitch, but I think that was part of it, was that you could go in and tag yourself LGBTQIA plus anyway. So, like, what's the distinction between that and this new thing? I don't really know, but it is interesting to see that, like, this sort of regressive, don't even mention trans people is spreading. And of course, that would be a bad thing if it happened on this platform. I don't really see it happening on Google, just because Google doesn't have a history of doing this. Like, YouTube doesn't have a history of doing this kind of thing, whereas this fits in completely with what I've seen Twitch do before, with, like, again, like, policing what people can say on the platform. I just feel like YouTube has always been more flexible, so long as you declare things. Like, sometimes when people are having issues getting their content monetized, I wonder if it's because they don't understand that you can't just say, no, this video has nothing ad worthy in it, or like nothing worth discussion. You have this page when you're telling YouTube what rating you're going to give the video. You have, like, okay, does this video talk about violence? Does this video talk about drugs? Does this video talk about sex? And then you can kind of get in and you're like, does this video talk about controversial topics, or does it talk about trans people? So, like, there's a little section that's like about, does this video talk about protected groups? And then there's like 3 different settings within that you can select. So I almost always select that one, and I select the first tier, which just says, this talks about protected groups in a way that does not, like, damage them, and it is not, like, hateful, basically. Like, hateful content is the drop-down menu, like, hateful content. So if you talk about trans issues at all, you should flag that. Now, if you do flag that and you say, like, I'm criticizing people's opinions and it's not harmful, you're still ad-friendly. But if you don't click that, then your video will automatically go for manual review, or automatically be declined and then have to go to manual review. So, like, if you're a YouTuber who talks about sex education, for example, I don't know what the exact guidelines are because I don't talk about sex that much on my channel, but, like, educational content, you have to flag it, but it's still monetizable. Or it might get the yellow, depending on how in-depth you go. Like, I can mention death and violence and rape as long as I flag, like, I talked about these things in a way that was not graphic. But if YouTube hears the word murder and you didn't flag it as, like, I do talk about murder, but it's in a non-inflammatory way, it's not sensationalized, whatever, then your channel will automatically, like, that video will automatically get held for review. So, like, I wonder if this is, like, an issue where people just don't understand how to flag their content, that you have to tell YouTube, yes, I discussed this, but it was in such and such context. Oh yeah, absolutely. The truth is that most power fascists wield isn't taken, it is freely given as people acquiesce to it in anticipation of restrictive policy, and they don't wait to be forced. I've seen that, yeah. I've seen that quote before. I don't know that I can think off the top of my head of any examples of people doing that right now, like giving away their freedoms in anticipation of increased restrictions. I'm not sure that I can think of any examples right now, but I have heard that. Like, of course, I'm not the kind of person who's just going to be like, yes, officer, you asked to see my ID? Absolutely. I'm going to be like, why? But I'm white, so I can get away with that. Like, I can push back and be like, well, one could argue it's what doctors are doing when they're letting women die. Oh, potentially, yeah. Like, if they aren't taking these cases to court to test where the limit is. Yeah, that's a good point. They're just like, I'm gonna fold to what the law claims instead of trying to make like instead of taking the risk and trying to save the person's life and then dealing with the consequences afterwards. Yeah, I can see that for sure. Anyway, it's really interesting seeing these increased just increased crackdowns on online content, which I guess segues us nicely into some links that Max posted in the suggestions channel, talking about the Internet Archive and like this concept that people think of the internet as, excuse me, oh my god, every time I drink water I need a burp. Oh my god, anyway, so people think like, okay, if you post it on the internet, it's forever. Like you have to be, there's concern about whether you're going to be able to scrub that information later. So be careful, right? Do I have another one? Another burp? No. But it seems like we're losing access to parts of the internet that we weren't expecting to. So this is from Brownstone Institute, which says, it starts off, instances of censorship are growing to the point of normalization. Despite ongoing litigation and more public attention, mainstream social media has been more ferocious in recent months than ever before. Podcasters know for sure what will be instantly deleted and debate among themselves over content in gray areas. Some, like Brownstone, have given up on YouTube in favor of Rumble. Oh no. Oh no, that's bad. Oh no. Wait, what? What? Oh no. I'm sorry. I just was reeling from that. It's not always about being censored or not. Today's algorithms include a range of tools that affect searchability and findability. For example, the Joe Rogan interview with Donald Trump racked up an astonishing 34 million views before YouTube and Google tweaked their search engines to make it hard to discover, while even presiding over a technical malfunction that disabled viewing for many people. Faced with this, Rogan went to the platform X to post all 3 hours. Wait, what? Is this coming from the perspective that Joe Rogan was, like, censored by YouTube? Or what is the position here? They've created a glass alternative out of bamboo. That's exciting. Like, as of this writing, we have no way to verify content that has been posted for 3 weeks of October, leading to the days of the most contentious and consequential election of our lifetimes. Crucially, this is not about partisanship or ideological discrimination. No websites on the internet are being archived in ways that are available to users. In fact, the whole memory of our main information system is just a big black hole right now because the Internet Archive, archive.org, the service was recently hit with a massive DDoS attack, which took down the service and introduced a level of failure that nearly took it out completely. Archive.org came back as a read-only service where it stands today. However, you can only read content that was posted before the attack. The service has yet to resume any public display of mirroring of any sites on the internet. Yeah, so I heard that this was because of a lawsuit against the archive. But this is I think this source is a little bit sussy-wussy. Okay, this is from Pew. This feels a little bit less bad. So this talks about online content disappearing. 38% of web pages that existed in 2013 are no longer accessible a decade later. I find that troublesome for sure. A quarter of all web pages that existed at one point between 2013 and 2023 are no longer accessible. In most cases, this is because an individual page was deleted or removed on an otherwise functional website. For older content, this trend is even starker. Some 38% of web pages that existed in 2013 are not available today, compared with 8% of pages that existed in 2023. They're calling this digital decay. 23% of news web pages contain at least one broken link, as do 21% of web pages from government sites. That's troublesome. News sites with a high level of site traffic and those with less are about equally likely to contain broken links. Local level government web pages are especially likely to have broken links. I don't find that very surprising at all. 54% of Wikipedia pages contain at least one link in their references section that points to a page which no longer exists. Get on that, Wikipedia. You should not have that problem. Okay, no worries, Max. It's all good. Rumble about to be the trans platform. Google has been stripping answers from websites for over a decade. That has reduced click-through a lot and reduces a huge network of archived pages. Oh, you mean like that little thing that pops up at the top of a Google search? Not the AI thing, but the thing that used to pop up. Wikipedia is busy fighting AI-generated articles, truly. To see how digital decay plays out on social media, we also collected a real-time sample of tweets during spring 2023 on Twitter. Following them for 3 months, we found that nearly 1 in 5 tweets are no longer publicly visible on the site just months after being posted. 60% of these are because the account was made private, suspended, or deleted entirely. In the other 40%, the account holder deleted the individual tweet, but the account itself still existed. Certain types of tweets tend to go away more often than others. More than 40% of tweets written in Turkish or Arabic are no longer visible on the site within 3 months of being posted, and tweets from accounts with the default profile settings are especially likely to disappear from public view. Oh yeah, if people stop going to the website will die because of no ad revenue. Yeah, that makes sense. And what's weird, because Google makes less money because if the website is set up on Google AdSense, if that website is not getting clicks, then Google is also not getting its share of ad revenue. So I guess it's pennies to Google. I guess it just doesn't matter that much to them. Anyway. Honestly, we are about to enter such a terrible era of the internet. I mean, I think that that's pretty true of anything. We're about to enter a terrible era of insert anything in that blank. Just about anything. Oh my gosh. 34 viewers it's showing me right now. Oh man, now it's dropping to 33. Why? At least hit the like button before you leave. Jesus Christ. Come on, dude. This is making me wonder what Twitch streaming could be like, because I'm like 30 viewers. I don't know. Someone also said earlier that they set up restreaming through OBS. I don't use OBS. I use Streamlabs OBS, and I don't know how OBS differs from Streamlabs, so I'm not sure if that is an ideal situation for me, but I don't know. Information is disappearing. Niche websites can no longer be found with search engines. Wikipedia and Internet Archive are both under assault. Yeah. I mean, this is only semi-related, but I want to sell stuff online. I make crochet stuff and I want to sell it. Maybe not all the time, but like, and maybe not as my primary thing, but every once in a while I want to make something and then sell it. And like, I'm really into the idea of becoming one of those bone people who sells bones online and like puts glitter on them and decorates them and puts crystals on them and then sells you something. So I don't want to go on Etsy because Etsy has a lot of fucked up fees that you just kind of have to upcharge people a lot because of the fees on Etsy. And so I want to just host them on my website. And I don't think that that is ever going to come up in a Google search. I think that I will only make money off of like basically word of mouth advertising where I advertise my own products on my own social media. And like, it's not going to show up in search results because it's not on fucking Etsy. Although I do think that the way that Etsy cracks down on like with the fees and everything and all this, like I think that there should be more individual sellers because it's kind of getting crowded out by shit that you could buy on Amazon, honestly. Exactly, yeah, Etsy is just dropshippers reselling at an insane price hike. It's fucking Amazon products. Etsy was supposed to be for individuals. Like, I genuinely think, in the same way that I think corporations should not be allowed to buy houses, I think that corporations should not be allowed to sell on Etsy. I think if you have any more than like 3 people working, but mostly I think it should just be like, I'm one individual seller and I'm on Etsy. Like, I think it's kind of fucked up that, yeah, it's just drop shippers, low quality, machine made products. Streamlabs is just a user-friendly version of OBS because you got to add all the stuff you want to OBS alone by yourself, like plugins, etc., and you need to be more tech savvy. Yeah, I guess I could look into that a little bit more. I know that part of the thing is that, yeah, the integration with like the website chat, for example, like having this integration in Streamlabs, very useful. Having the donations pop up on Streamlabs, very useful. And that's like my website is integrated into Streamlabs that way, so I'm not really sure how OBS works. I could ask White Nervosa, I guess, like how that would work. I guess I could get in touch with my my web host. Oh my god, I didn't know that actually. Apparently people are moving back to eBay to sell handmade and vintage goods as opposed to Etsy. Wow. People who make and sell pottery are called potters. Are people who make and sell bone art called boners? I hope so. I hope so. I don't know what the John's Bones scandal is. My bad. My stream is going to primarily be a way to drive people to my website to sell the stuff I make. Oh yeah, for sure. I can see that. Like, if I were to start pushing that, which I don't want to do, as like my main thing, then streams would more often be like, yo, I'm gonna sit here and crochet. Here's my crochet like process. Which again, that might be the case. Maybe that will be what I put on Twitch. I don't know. But yeah, I'm interested in expanding what I'm doing. It's just a matter of making the right decisions. And it's hard to figure out what the right decisions are when your search is being limited. Like, when every individual person who makes stuff has to also be a social media manager. They have to do their own marketing. They have to do their own photography. Like, basically, I have this thing where I'm becoming a jack of all trades. All trades, all trades, all trades. I'm an editor. I have to be tech savvy enough to set up my computer. I have to like have the artistic vision to create a background. By the way, do you plan on adding YouTube memberships? I did actually, Darth Gently. I have them now. You can join for $5. I only have one tier for YouTube memberships. But yeah, it's basically it's equivalent to buying a $5 subscription on my website. So I bet it's the same price. You get some of the same benefits that Patreon members get. So yeah, I don't have any. So if you want to become my first member, that would be great. Former Etsy sellers have moved to eBay. eBay encourages self-promotion, doesn't have the same insane fees. The search function actually works to find what you need on the site. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I guess for individual objects, you could potentially... I can't see it anywhere, though. There's no join button. Usually it's a little join button that shows up, like, right next to the subscribe button, isn't it? Let me... I'm gonna go to my own stream right now and see... There's no... Okay, no recursives. No recursives. Oh, weird. There is no... I'm not seeing it. There's no join button. But I also don't have the big subscribe button. Maybe that's because I'm on my account. Interesting. I mean, I'm on my own account, so I could see why maybe... That's so interesting. Well, I did just turn them on not too long ago. eBay, Shopify, and Reverb still make more money on my sales than me? Oh no. Yeah, I do think that, like, selling on your own website is probably the best way as far as making money is concerned. But, it's just hard. I mean, like, as far as... Oh, the big subscribed button is also not there? That's so strange. I'm like, are live streams just different? What if you go to a video... If you look at a video on my channel, does the join button show up on my videos? And like, I definitely did turn them on. And I got the email that said that they had approved my memberships. So like, I should... Like, memberships are... Oh, did it not actually launch them? Okay, I guess they weren't launched. Like, I sent in my stuff and I got approved, but then I had to actually manually go in and hit launch. So maybe now you can become a member? I don't know. Refresh the screen. Tell me if you can. Sorry. I didn't realize that it required me to do an extra step. But yeah, I guess memberships are open now. Okay, cool. All right, cool. If you want us to join your Moss Dragon cult, I wouldn't mind. Listen. Yeah, I didn't realize that they weren't launched. That was my mistake. So now they're launched. Weird. Okay, cool. Well, and thank you for bringing that to my attention, because I was just, like, assuming that I had not gotten any, even though it was available. Anyway. Great. If James from the internet is still live at the end of the stream, I'll link you to him if you're curious about how interactive communities are over there. Are you talking about Twitch? Like, it's not a question for me as to, like, how interactive is the community on Twitch. The question is, like, I do not have a viewership over there. I have 30,000 subscribers over here. I do not have that many subscribers on Twitch. Like, I'm not really that concerned about how interactive it is. That's not the question. No worries, Darth Gently. No worries. I really love the idea after I move, and I don't know if this is going to actually happen, but I like the idea of setting up my background in such a way to have like a fountain going all the time. And I also really like the idea of taking real life moss and putting it on the fountain, even though the fountain is probably going to be like fake rock or plastic or something. Um, these things make me wonder about it. Yeah. Sorry, I just feel like I have at no point talked about the interactivity on Twitch. Like it's more about like, is the platform good, or is the like, how easy is it going to be for me to set up restream, or like should I post dedicated streams on Twitch or something? Like, how is this going to incorporate into my entire monetization strategy? Like, yeah, anyway, but yeah, I like the idea of having a fountain in the back. I want to do a lot more with the background, but a really big fountain is like $500. Why? It is the same as this, like one that's this tall and is a fountain is the same as one that's big. It just requires more fake ass rock material to make it bigger. Like, it's still just a fountain. I'm still providing the water and the electricity to make it work. Get a dragon incense dispenser. I don't like incense. It worsens the air quality in your home by quite a lot. And I have a cat, and I have a partner who gets scent triggered migraines, so I can't do incense. So yeah, I guess if you want to, you can do a membership and join the Moss Dragon cult. Musing Moss. Okay, yeah. So I'm not really sure what can be done about the Internet Archive thing. Obviously, it's a concern, and I have noticed that there are dead links and things, but I don't know how to react to it in the sense of like, I don't know what could possibly be done, just that it's bad and it's like yet another bad thing out of my control. Ooh, I'm excited for stream to end because I'm going to eat food, and I'm not going to start talking about food now just because I'm hungry. I am really seriously considering getting some Taco Bell, though. It's just like quick, dirty, cheap. Couple soft tacos. I always get a couple soft tacos supremes. Yawn. I do think if I had a food break partway through stream that I could stream for longer. Maybe this is something that will change, especially since I am not like burning myself out in the same way, talking about fucked up political shit all day. I could maybe do longer streams after I move. Maybe. I just pretty much exclusively stream during times when other people are home, and I actually share my recording space. So it's like, it would be much easier to do if I had my own recording space. Excuse me. Ah! Ah! Oh, apparently Neil Patrick Harris is masking. That's interesting. I want to see that. What's up with that? He does drop the mask in order to take a picture, and then he puts it back up, which is kind of maybe dumb, but like... But it's good to see people masking. I highly support that. Nice. Okay, this is kind of the last thing I want to react to today. God, we're down to 25 viewers. If any of you haven't hit the like button yet, hit it again to see if we can recoup some viewers, because I want to bitch about the Green Party for a minute and then probably call it at the end. So the initial thing that was posted in the chat was that Jill Stein's VP came out in favor of a national abortion ban, which I haven't watched this video, but then also he said some out-of-pocket shit about trans people, so we're just gonna kind of react to it.
Do you believe there should be any limits?
Oh, hold on, that's so quiet. Hold on, let me try to fix that.
Do you believe there should be any limits on abortion?
Then of course there should be limits on everything. There's almost nothing that should be left, completely unregulated. But I think that a lot of the kind of common sense, regulations that most Americans agree on as essentially 60-40 issues. Something like 16 weeks and other such. I won't go into kind of the fine points on it, but of course there have to be limitations. There have to be regulations of abortion without any question.
Yeah, so obviously that's a stupid thing to say, because like government regulation, like this is just not an area where I disagree strongly with the premise that everything needs to be regulated. Like everything doesn't need to be regulated. Some things just like exist without the government. Like knee surgeries aren't regulated. There's no one that says like, oh, you can do knee surgery under these conditions, but you can't do it under other conditions. Like that's not how this works. So like, why would abortion be regulated in that way? He just suggested that a 16-week abortion ban would make sense. And of course, a lot of people think that sounds reasonable. But it's like, okay, well, what happens if the fetus is not viable after 16 weeks? Like, what happens in those situations? Is there an investigation? Does a government officer have to, view your ultrasounds and like see that there's like no brain activity or whatever, and then sign off on it? Like, yeah, again, like it's just not smart. So he kind of did suggest that he would be in favor of national restrictions on abortion, when I think a lot of us who have researched into the issue know that it's not ideal. But then he came out against trans people somehow. Oh, this is a really short clip, so I don't really know if we're going to get a lot of benefit out of this.
I don't think that biological males should play in female sports. I think that it gives an unfair, competitive advantage. And
okay, so that clip got cut short a lot. Like I don't know how much he actually went into that, but this is just an ignorant dude who doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Like playing on this like common sense. It's like an appeal to common sense, really. Like that's what this is. When people do this, they're like, well, it seems like males perform better than females, so I'm gonna just like state that also applies to trans women, and it creates an unfair advantage. And this is a sticking point that I've come into recently. I've started like really getting stuck on this, is like, why is it an unfair advantage? Like, first of all, you haven't proven that there's an advantage, but whatever, I'm gonna ignore that. Have you, like, what's unfair about it? And again, the example that I call back to is like, cis women with PCOS have elevated levels of testosterone, including during puberty. So if a female student, like an assigned female student, has PCOS, does she have an unfair advantage if she has a higher than average level of testosterone? Like, if that's the basis upon which we're going to make this argument, a cis girl with PCOS does have a semi-masculinizing puberty potentially. Does that give her an advantage? Does it give her an unfair advantage? These things are just not being substantiated in a way that I'm satisfied with. Biological males could also refer to trans men and trans masc people who have transitioned medically, at least in part. I mean, you could technically say that that does refer to it, but that's not what these people mean. You know, I don't think these people are the kinds of people who would ever refer to a trans person as being biologically the sex that they identify with and have transitioned to, you know? Although I did just see, I saw Cloud. Hold on, oh no, where did it go? Oh yeah, here it is. Cloudy just posted like, so she had originally tweeted, in the gentlest way possible, hearing someone say that they can't possibly be a trans woman because they are, quote, biologically female kind of makes me, a biologically female trans woman, feel like shit. And then that was posted by Delusional Takes. And then she says, I think it's pretty reasonable to make the claim that I am not, quote, biologically male just because I'm a trans woman, actually. And this is, again, going into, like, how do we define these things? For the most part, when cis people say biologically male or biologically female, they're saying natally male and natally female, like what you were born as some kind of predeterministic way of saying, like, you know, once you were born this way, then we're assuming that there's always this trajectory that you're going to be on. And like the socialized male and socialized female also tends to act in this predeterministic way, which can be problematic. But yeah, like I think if you're taking hormones and you've taken them for a long time, you've grown breasts, you've softened, you've had some muscular degeneration, your heart attack risk is more similar to a female. Like, I don't really see why you would continue to insist that that person is biologically male. Like, I just don't think that it really makes sense. I think that it would make more sense to say that person is biologically female because of all of the other body processes that have nothing to do with the gonads and, like, nothing to do with the genitals. So, like, and for me, I don't really know. I guess, I don't know, like, with non-binary people, it's a little bit harder, especially those of us who've, like, been on hormones and off hormones, and, like, we've taken this set of hormones versus this, and, like, we do want this surgery, but we don't want that surgery. Like, for a long time, at the very beginning of my transition, I identified as a female-bodied genderqueer person, and I guess in some ways, like, I feel like I politically am female, because I can get pregnant. I'm worried about birth control. I worry about abortion because I'm, like, directly impacted by access to those things. So, like, I think that politically I have a lot of camaraderie with females. Like, but my voice is very deep. Like, of course I experienced genital changes on hormones that don't revert. Like, I don't know. At that point, it becomes a little bit trickier. I think if I was, like, post-bottom surgery, I would definitely feel like I am not, you cannot under any definition say that I'm biologically female. I'm biologically intersex, maybe you could say. But I always feel like it's kind of, maybe we need, like, a different term for it, because intersex does imply it's something that happened when you were born or something that happened when you first went through puberty, and it implies that, like, a lot of shit was foisted on you in a particular way, that I feel like for trans people to say we are biologically intersex, it just seems like it would be stepping on the wrong person's toes, even though I do think that that concept has legitimacy. Like, trans people render our bodies a different sex through intervention. And I think that it would be fair, yeah, for a trans woman to say I'm biologically female. And for a non-binary, like, there is no, like, biologically non-binary. Non-binary implicitly, like, refers to identity and, like, psychological states of being, as opposed to, like, a phenological, biological component. But yeah, phenotypical. Phenotypical is the word that I was looking for there. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a really interesting concept. Eric says, I'm intersex, so it always is odd to me when people assume what my sex is. They never will guess both. And they never will guess both, and often that reality really bothers some people. They can't process, I'm happy my body is both. Oh, of course. And like, whether you're born intersex or whether you are non-binary and you create a non-binary sexed existence is, yeah, I don't know. It's really challenging for a lot of people, and I can understand that being really difficult for people. Vita Lizard, I haven't seen you in the chat before. What's optimistic? There are people who can't get past the biosex thing and just reject my existence to my face at times. Yeah. I mean, and intersex people a lot of the times, like, y'all exist as a... you mostly exist as a rhetorical device, which is unfortunate. Like, in the discourse, intersex bodies are objectified in this way, where trans people use intersex people as like proof that sex isn't fundamentally binary, and then the transphobes, you know, kind of disregard your existence and say, oh, that's just an exception. And it's like, well, you can't have a rule if there are exceptions to the rule. Like, you can't have a hard and fast sex is binary and then have all these like hundreds of thousands of people who fall outside of those parameters and then just say like, well, they don't count. And then, you know, anytime these laws pass that restrict access to children having access to this medical care, like, there are exceptions for intersex people because y'all are considered aberrant and that you have something that needs to be corrected and normalized. Milena, welcome in. Hello. Hope you're doing well. There are always exceptions. That's how science works. Yeah. Your perspective on the situation is optimistic. That's really interesting to hear you say that, Vita Lizard, because I think that my perspective is frequently considered quite pessimistic. Yeah, I don't know. I think that I have a fairly objective view on a lot of these things, and I think that coming to terms with reality as it is has a tendency to make people think that you're pessimistic, but I'm not. I'm actually quite hopeful. Yeah, it is definitely unpleasant, I think, on the left, how intersex people are used as a tool. I have, like, several intersex people within my community who speak openly about it, and that is really illuminating, and it helps humanize you all in a way that I don't know if other people are just perhaps not trying so hard to... And I'm not saying that I don't do that. Like, I absolutely do use... intersex existence as a way of bolstering my arguments. Like, it's like, is there a means by which to do that and like make the argument without sort of objectifying intersex people? I'm not really certain. I'm not even sure that I'm making the right moves on that, basically. I think I'm hearing that you want to see this subject in a positive light. I mean, it sort of depends on what the subject is, I guess. I'm not, like, trying to see things in a positive light. I just am receptive to reality as it is, and I think a lot of people don't have that, so I'm like, okay, trans people experience a lot of violence, and the country is going to become more violent toward us, and the climate is definitely going to collapse, and it's going to take the economy with it, and we need to prepare for it, and here's how I'm going to realistically take those steps to make myself safer, or whatever. Or, like, I'm moving to a blue state to make myself safer, and, you know, I think that conversations about biology are just really interesting. I mean, obviously, I'm literally about to do a dragon review series where I talk about how scientifically realistic the dragons are, and I'm going to pull from, examples of real-life animals and how they move and how they fly, and how did pterodactyls move and fly. Like, obviously, those subjects are just really interesting to me, and so I come at them from, like, a pretty realistic perspective. I think you definitely show a level of optimism because you acknowledge the reality of the world, often with empathy, which makes room for ideas of progress. Realism isn't pessimism. Yeah, I agree with that. I think... I'm glad that you all view me as someone who is optimistic, because I think so often I worry about being accused of being pessimistic or, oh, you're such a doomer. I realized recently I was reading some tweets about doomerism, and they were being very critical of doomers, and they were referring to both COVID and climate. And I felt myself getting defensive. And then I realized, like, oh, this person is talking about doomers who just say everything is fucked. I say everything is fucked, and here's what we're going to do to prepare for it. And here's what we're going to do next. So I think that maybe that's like an area where I diverge from doomers, where I agree with the premise that everything is fucked. Whether it's the trajectory that the country is on, whether it's COVID, whether it's climate, like I agree with the premise that everything's fucked. I just don't lie down on the floor and rot, I think is the main difference. That I can like look reality in its face and say, okay, fucking, I guess I have to respond to that. And like, I have to have a proportionate reaction to that. BPD gang, intense pessimism and optimism at the same time. I guess I don't view myself as being that, I guess I hadn't really thought about whether I'm pessimistic or optimistic. I try not to wallow in the bad stuff. And I also have never really thought about it in the context of BPD. Yeah, we're going to talk about dinosaurs in the Dragon series. You and Riverboat Jack are the levels of realistic doomerism peppered with positivity and calls to action in a positive community that I'm looking for. People always say nice things about Riverboat Jack, and I like her. I just never hang out in her streams. So maybe I should hang out in her streams and like say hi and maybe try to do some community organizing with her or something. Or maybe I could, like, I want to know her well enough that I could ask her to do VO in my videos. I don't know her well enough that I could ask her to do VO, I don't think. But yeah, we can't, this is the radical acceptance treatment, or radical acceptance, it's basically the module of radical acceptance in BPD, or in DBT training for BPD, is like, you have to accept things fully and completely as they are in order to then make decisions about how to move forward. You can't reject the world and then like be able to make any progress about changing it. So yeah, it's like you have to accept and be willing to like receive the data and go like, yeah, this is going to happen a certain way and we have to respond. Instead of being like, oh, I assume that that's not going to happen. Like being subject to the normalcy bias and things like this. Please collab, okay. Y'all would disagree on some stuff, but the overlap and intent would be overwhelming. Yeah, I did disagree with Riverboat Jack on something. She did not respond to my tweet, I don't think. But Riverboat Jack was saying, what did she say? Where is my response? Excuse me. Oh my God. Oh, she posted a big tweet thread about how, about Harris and like, oh, she was basically explaining, okay, Harris is appealing to a centrist type of thing because she's trying to win the election and she's trying to win those people over from Trump. And I was like, yeah, no, I understand that strategy. And I explained, like, I'm just pissy because if she loses, they're going to blame the progressive and leftist voters, even if we do turn out to vote for her, because they didn't court us at all. And I'm not convinced that she's subject to protest pressure given the current situation at college campuses. Like, you know, Riverboat Jack is like trying to make this argument that, yo, she says, I've seen a lot of folks in despair over this, and the silver lining here is that I think as soon as the election is over, Harris will be susceptible to protest pressure. And it's like, no, she's not. She just came around to that. Oh, did she? Did she finally accept? She's had your stance on that for months. Why did she just now change? Why is she just now going like, it's like fucking clown makeup. I'm sorry, I love Riverboat Jack, and this criticism is moving away from her. I'm moving toward the more broad criticism. Clown makeup, fucking clown shit. If you are looking at what's happening at fucking college campuses right now with students protesting against like trying to get people to divest from Israel, and seeing that Biden is on his way out. He does not have to worry about re-election. He is not divesting from Israel. Police are brutalizing college students. Colleges are dismissing students, sometimes sending them out of the country because their housing and like ability to be in this country is dependent upon them being students at those institutions. Like, watching police just fucking stand there while pro-Israel protesters start beating up pro-Palestine protesters, and the police are just like, yeah, whatever, I'm gonna let this violence happen. I'm only gonna crack down on fucking pro-Palestine protesters if they seem like they might be about to do something. Like, you're fucking delusional. Actually, you have divested from reality if you think that Kamala Harris is going to be subject to protest pressure while we are watching the Biden admin, which doesn't fucking need to worry about public opinion, about re-election, about anything, watching them brutalize protesters in liberal states on liberal college campuses. Like, literally delulu. I don't use this terminology very often, but you've fucked off from reality if you genuinely think that peaceful protest is going to make any difference under this. Good luck. Good luck, I say to you. I'm going to go do something actually meaningful with my time. She had a very good conversation yesterday with someone about the election. It was very helpful. Cool. I'm glad. Here's my counterpoint. What president would have done differently? I mean, like, are we now just freely admitting that no figures of authority in this country are subject to any public pressure? Like, are we saying the quiet part out loud, that we live in an authoritarian regime that does not give a fuck what people actually think? Like, are we saying that, like, the actions of presidents in the past should impact what presidents now are doing? Right, like Jimmy Carter was more progressive in his... like, compare Kamala and Carter, and I'm pretty sure that Carter was more progressive than Harris is. I just think it's silly to say, oh, Kamala is going to be subject to peaceful protest. Like, you're like, no, she's not. She just isn't. I'm glad that you think that, I guess. Like, the only thing that's good about Kamala winning is that she won't arrest you or kill you for speaking out against her. Like, that's what she's got going for her. Had a response from someone in the Musing Moss Discord. Anyway. Yeah, Jay says the only reason Kamala is viable is because her opponent is Trump. Her refusal to speak up on Palestine and appealing to the middle class is infuriating. Yeah. I mean, again, I still think it's going to be better for the country if she wins. But the idea that she gives a shit what you think about fucking anything, mistake. Mistake. That's a mistake. I think you are, yeah, you are so hopeful about the future that you have divested from reality, and I don't know that you're going to be reliable in the future. Oh, God. Drink water, y'all. It's so good for you to drink water. I'm sure someone could clip the shit out of that last part and, like, really try to cancel me over it. Thank you, Kitty. Great stream today. You do seem like stepping back has helped your vibe when you do need to cover these things. Thank you. I'm glad that you feel like this is a good change. So, have a good nap. I'm saying Jimmy is the only president who might have done differently. She might be assuaged on some things, but as far as Palestine goes, it's not a good barometer of American leadership. I mean, I I would need to double check this, but I was reading recently that Biden has like given more money to Israel than basically any other administration. I don't know. And like I use Palestine as the example because it's like for something to be so deeply unpopular within the American populace and for like for it to be a certified international crime what Israel is doing. Like it's recognized that this is a crime what Israel is doing. Especially right now. Like, I don't know if you could have called it a crime 10 years ago, but it is definitely a crime right now. It is an international crime. It's not a Moss stream unless there's at least a few minutes that could be clipped badly out of context. But for something to be so wildly unpopular, like, I'm not even saying that it's not just that she hasn't changed anything on this. I mean, she's not in charge, right? It's not just that Biden has sent more and more and more and more and more money when we've seen the dead children, you know, like almost every day for the past year. But it's like, not only can you not change anything with protest, but you'll be fucking brutalized by the police for protesting. You'll be kicked out of school for protesting. State universities, you know? Like, it's the combination of those things. I'm not just saying, like, she's not going to change on Palestine. I'm saying not only is she not going to change on Palestine, but if you try to peacefully protest, they'll fucking destroy your life. You know? Like, it goes further than just feeling, like, powerless. It's like, they'll put you in the hospital. They'll destroy your career. Like, the institution of the state working in tandem, police on the ground, and masks being banned because of these protests and everything. Like, it's everything on it. Israel finally feels justified enough to do a full genocide despite the fact that it's been a crime for a long time. Yeah. Yeah. Like, but why do they feel empowered to do that? You know? I don't know. It kind of seems like we're about to have, like, a pretty serious... I don't know that it's going to escalate to the level of, like, World War III, but it does seem as though, like, with Israel now bombing Lebanon and, like, Iran is getting involved in all this, like, it just seems like it's about to become a more large-scale conflict where Israel just thinks that it can cap everybody, and that the United States is supporting them, and, like, it's like if America was sponsoring the actual Nazis. I mean, like, we know this, right? Like, it's... What if there was a global superpower backing Hitler is kind of what we're experiencing right now, and it's crazy. Anyway, oh, we're so close to 100 likes. I don't think we're going to get there. I don't think you get to see what's in the box today. Perhaps next time. I haven't figured out what the correct dono goal is. If the dono goal were 100, I would have opened this already, but I didn't set it that way. I set it to 200, so maybe next time I'll set it for 100, and we'll see if we can open the box. What's in the box? What's in there? I don't know. Ooh. Wait. Open. Little peek. Nope, you can't see anything. Ooh. I wonder how the conversation is going to change between now and next week. Like, what's going to happen between now and next week? Are we going to be able to... Is she suddenly going to be like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to divest from Israel because I won the election and I don't give a fuck what Zionists think anymore? Like, I don't know, man. Like, you guys understand, like, we are not following our own laws right now. And international laws. Like, we have rules about about military engagements, and, like, us sending Israel money is, like, violating our own violating our own laws. Yeah, all this is hypothetical right now. I'm like assuming she's going to win, I think. Basically, what I'm banking on, I'm banking that Kamala Harris is going to win and that Trump and his supporters are going to try to do another insurrection or trying to do another coup. Like, that's basically what I'm anticipating going forward. Like, I don't think Trump is going to win, although it's, again, it's nail-bitingly close, just like you said, Milena. Oh, but yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. Again, so like tomorrow, I'm gonna go vote. I'm gonna vote for fucking Kamala Harris, even though I don't like that bitch. Like, I'm gonna vote for her, and I'm gonna vote for all the other Democrats on the ticket, and make sure to vote on everything local. It's very important. If you want to vote early, maybe see if there's a local place to vote early tomorrow, but then, like, otherwise vote on Tuesday, or high five to those of you who already put your votes in. CNN is trying to scare the ever living shit out of their viewer base. I haven't followed what CNN's going on right now. And then yeah, pray that we wake up on Wednesday with a definitive Kamala win. I hope that it's at least settled by Sunday. Typically, there's like, they announce it, even if it's at like 3 a.m., the person who wins or loses gives a speech, like, right? That's typically my assumption, or at least what I hope happens, is that we get the declaration at like 3 a.m. Milena says, if I can vote for Hillary as a Persian, anyone in here can vote for Kamala unless you're actually Palestinian. Yeah. I think, obviously, it's a harm reduction strategy. Even though I don't think that this is going to significantly change the trajectory that we're on already. I do think that Trump would accelerate problems. So that's the difference. Like, do we want a status quo or do we want a dramatically worse? For some people, the status quo right now is intolerable, and I understand that. But yeah, I do think it's kind of silly to just be like, this one foreign policy thing, even though we've done all kinds of fucked up shit foreign policy-wise this whole time. Like, if you would have voted for Obama the second time, you know, I don't know why this particular issue has become, like, the main thing, the only determining factor when other things are on the line. It's like single-issue voters. I kind of don't get you. Remember how long it dragged on in 2020? I don't. I have memory hold a lot of 2020. It was a bad fucking year. I don't remember a lot of it. I'm just trying to not be dead by February. Truly, yeah, I want to live long enough to make it to the blue state where I can have my guns and, like, have a community that wants to protect me. And yeah, like, I'm just trying to live long enough to get to fucking PNW, guys. That's all I'm trying to do. Oh my god, we're 3 away. Can we get to 100 likes? Is there anybody in here who hasn't pressed the button yet? I want to get there. Mr. Bald Eyeballs Man said on his CNN show yesterday, who's gonna win? My brain says Trump, but my gut says Harris. I don't know. Stay tuned. Bye! Yeah. I want to look it up. When was president declared in 2020? Okay, so the general election was held on November 3rd. And then on November 7th, most national media organizations projected that Biden had clinched enough electoral votes to be named the president-elect. The formal voting by the Electoral College took place on December 14th. Okay, so they don't even actually vote until December. The Congress then certified the electoral result on January 7th. Okay, cool. So yeah, there's a good chance that it'll be like half a week or even a week before we know for sure what's going to happen. I just want to make it to a blue state and have my guns. Sentences that have not been said frequently. Listen, not every blue state is like cracking down on your guns. Although Oregon is passing, I know that in Washington there's an assault weapons ban, which I think are very silly. And then in Oregon there is a law that passed but is being contested in a lot of court cases that like limits magazine sizes and creates like a provision where you have to take a class in order to get a concealed carry license. In Kansas, you don't even need a license to concealed carry. You just can. You can go to the class and get the certification to have concealed carry. But yeah, like, so Oregon is kind of trying to... Hey, we got to 103. Holy cow. Thank you, guys. 103 likes. But dude, like Oregon and Washington both have like pretty sizable rural populations. And, you know, they've got the same like, I'm a freedom lover kind of thing going on. Like, sort of those libertarian qualities, you know? You know, I don't actually know that I even paid attention to what was happening on January 6th until later. Like, I don't even think I've tuned into it or understood what was going on until after. I can't remember. It was, again, like, I think I was in the middle of moving in 2020, like, or like early 2021. I think that might have been what was going on. I was like in the middle of moving or otherwise dealing with something insanely stressful. So I'm like, I have limited capacity to pay attention. My Kansas hunter safety course wasn't good enough in Kansas, but was in Florida. Oh, weird. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to redo a whole fucking hunter safety thing. I have my hunting license, but I don't think the state that I'm moving to honors the NRA hunting course. I think I'm going to have to actually do an in-person course. And I can't get a hunting license until I've lived there for 6 months, which is fucking annoying. Like, and maybe I can't get a fishing license. Like, I'd have to pay for an out-of-state fishing license for the first 6 months. I don't know. It's so annoying, though. Like, you're really telling me that I can't use the last part of winter to hunt? Fucking Christ, dude. So, I gotta get all my rabbit hunting in before January, I guess. Damn. That's crazy. Should I just, like, for stream, should I have, like, a completely relaxed, like... Should I just stop trying to sit up straight? I don't know. It's comfy back here. I'm just so tiny in the frame, you know? Alright, y'all. I'm ready to eat some lunch. So I'm gonna find myself some food or maybe go to Taco Bell or something, and... You can buy pepper spray without being ID'd. I'm pretty sure that's the case. So yeah, get your pepper spray, whatever. The next time I see you, we're going to be fraught in the middle of a whole fucking thing about the election. So I don't know what we're talking about Wednesday, but maybe it will be not that. There's a good chance that I'm going to be like, yo, I refuse to talk about the election. I'm only going to play video games today. Don't know. But yeah, with that all being said, I am planning to see you Wednesday, and fingers crossed that things go our way. Yay! Maybe next time you'll be able to find out what's in the box. Maybe next time. All right, much love, y'all. I'll see you in the future. Be good.